participants to unmute themselves.
Correct. I'm telling her to unmute by sending her a link and she has to hit it.
I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you are. We can see you and hear you. Very good.
It logged me out for some reason, or I don't know.
Okay, so it is 5/19, February 17th, 2021, and this is our regular meeting of the County Commissioners in Androscoggin County. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for
which it stands,
one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all.
And we have already taken the roll call and all commissioners are present. I'm going to pause just for a second and ask Dave if someone wants to weigh in or say something, what they should do.
Good evening, everybody. So the way it's going to work tonight is that you're going to have to raise your hand to speak and then wait for her to call on you. Because if everybody tries to talk at the same time, nothing's going to happen tonight. Does that seem like it's going to work?
Madam Chair, would Mr. Cody explain how folks raise their hand, only because not everybody has video shown, and could we also repeat that throughout this meeting so that anyone that joins later would have, this is already a massive violation of the constitutional rights and our own bylaws. I disagree, but at the same time, we need to make sure we do everything in our power as a commission to make sure that people know how to. So we need to explain to folks how they even raise their hand, and also how we are able to, I would like this to be repeated multiple times throughout the meeting.
Sure. Well, every version of Zoom is a little bit different, but on my version, on the bottom right-hand side, it says reactions. If you push on that icon, it should pop up and have raise hand.
Dave, if I could go.
Is it-
I don't see that.
I don't believe anyone's talking, Isaiah.
David was explaining how to do the Zoom and now how to raise their hands.
So on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, it should have the words reactions. You click on that, and there's gonna be an icon that pops up that says raise hand.
Thank you.
And that's gonna put you to the top of the screen for me.
In point of order, Madam Chair, will all of the public be allowed to speak to any agenda item as required per the bylaws?
It's not required by the bylaws. Everyone will be allowed to speak on non-agenda items like we have every meeting. On any new motions, people can speak. On the one mandate resolution, we'll be picking it up at the same position that it was tabled. And at that point, had already been about 2 to 2.5 hours of public input. And we had gone beyond the public input part of the discussion. So we'll pick that up unless it changes or is amended. And then, of course, that will change the position that it was tabled. Okay, let's go to our first order of business, and that is to accept and approve with waiver of reading of the minutes from the February 3rd meeting.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes for the meeting dated February 3rd, 2021 as written.
Thank you. Commissioner Kelly, a second?
I think Noel raised his hand.
Thank you.
Yes, Chair, I'll
And-
second that.
Madam
Okay.
Chair,
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Section 37 of our bylaws states a commissioner may request that the commissioner's name be included with a minority vote along with a statement given for the reasons for the commissioner's vote. I had respectfully requested that to be recorded after a table motion, and this does not say a motion, this says a vote. So I respectfully request that that be reflected in the minutes that my request was denied. And it was in violation of
Okay,
the
are you
bylaws.
talking, we're talking about last
Yes,
meeting's minutes?
Last meeting's minutes, ma'am, when I requested my opposition to that tabling motion to be recorded, which is according to the bylaws, Madam Chair. Section 2 of number 2
Okay,
of
so
section
you had
37.
You had a comment after it was tabled?
Not a comment, ma'am, a request of the minutes to reflect my opposition, and I was about to give my reasons, and you refused to consider my request, which was in violation of the bylaws, section 37.
Okay, any other changes or discussion about the minutes from February 3rd? Okay, and the directive that we have received as far as holding votes in a Zoom meeting is that we do a roll call. So we'll take them by alphabetical order. Commissioner Ames, and this is for accepting the minutes of the meeting.
As amended, Madam
Accept.
Chair.
As, yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
as amended, that's fine. Commissioner
I
Ames?
accept. Accept.
Okay. Commissioner Christner, yes. Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Larry,
Yes.
Commissioner Madore,
Yes.
Commissioner Michaels,
Yes.
Commissioner Poirier.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Review and approval of all warrants. Do I have a motion for the warrants and the correction?
Madam Chair, I move to approve all warrants and corrections warrants as written. I don't have a list of them on my agenda.
Right, the numbers are not on the agenda. I see that. Yes. Okay. And a second?
Second, Roland.
Thank you.
Could we have the numbers provided so we actually know what we're voting for or against, please?
Let me look at my email. They're in my email.
I believe that Sandy did provide them via email. I just don't have a list in front of me on the agenda. I
Yes.
remember seeing them in email form.
Let me go back in my email and I can find them and add them for you.
I think I'm still muted.
Do you have a copy? Let me. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
2103, Madam Chair, would this help you?
You got it.
Madam Chair, I think I have them. if
Okay,
that would help.
could you go ahead and read them off?
Yep, 2103. And hopefully I don't make any mistakes here. 2122J. 2104. Just a moment here so I can flip pages, make sure I get everything right. 2123J.
Thank you.
Manual warrants voucher 10728, 10729, 10730. And that I believe 10144J. And I believe that is it, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Any
welcome.
questions or comments or discussion around the warrants this evening?
Just, Roland, just clarification. I'm not sure if Isaiah, if you picked up the payroll warrants. They're 1010 through 1011, 1012, 1013, 1064J, 1065, and 1066J.
No, but thank you if that helps.
Okay.
Thanks.
My apologies.
No, no problem.
Discussion or questions about the warrants? Okay, all those in favor? Oh, I guess, I'm sorry, we need to go roll call. Commissioner Ames,
Yep.
okay, Commissioner Christner, it's a yes, Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Larry,
No,
Commissioner Madore,
Yes.
Commissioner Michaels,
Yes.
Commissioner Poirier.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. 6-1. Okay, reports. Commissioner Madore, did the Maine County Commissioners Association meet this week or last week?
Yes, we did meet last week, and the risk pool, not much to report there per usual, but one of the things I did find interesting was that they had contracted with a cybersecurity firm and did a general review of the counties. And so I believe our administrator is going to be receiving a report that outlines what that group found. So that was news to me. So I look forward to seeing that. The Maine County Commissioner Association also met, and we talked about some of the bills being presented. Got to hear from the lobbyist. And we were contemplating on not having the annual conference in person or at all. So they're contemplating that at the moment. And that is all I have to report.
Thank you. Central Maine Workforce, Commissioner Kelly?
I don't have anything new at this time, Madam Chair.
Treasurer's report is Proctor on the line.
I think she's muted.
Hi there. Can everyone hear me?
Hi.
hi.
Hi. So not much to report this time. It's the first month of the budget, January, so everyone's on track. So not a lot to say. I will just let you know that the auditors are starting the audit on Monday. And I'll keep you posted as to how that goes. And that's it for my report.
Any questions for the treasurer?
Thank you, Clarice.
This is Commissioner Poirier. I have a question. Could we be provided with a balance sheet to show us the reserve accounts that we have?
Sure. Next meeting, I can prepare that for the end of the year. We update it quarterly, so,
Okay,
okay.
thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions for the treasurer? And her report requires a vote of acceptance. So Commissioner Ames,
Accept.
Commissioner Christner, I accept it. Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Larry,
No,
Commissioner Madore,
Yes.
Commissioner Michaels,
Yes.
Commissioner Poirier,
Yeah.
and that is 6-1. Thank you. Administrators report.
Okay, I don't have anything really to report that's of any real interest tonight. I will double up at the next meeting. Thank you.
Any questions for the administrator this evening? Okay. The next section of our agenda is comments from the public, and this is on non-agenda items. Where if you have something you would like to speak to the commissioners about, you're welcome to do that. And Dave, I guess I'm going to depend on you to watch for hands to go up.
Chair, can I suggest that we go over our old business before we open up for public comment?
It's up to the commissioners.
Is anyone else interested
I
in
object.
doing that?
I object.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I move we take old business out of order
Okay, second
I'll
to
second
that
that.
motion.
I will second that.
Okay. And let's go roll call for that. And this is what you're voting on is taking the old business out of order and moving that up the agenda. Commissioner Ames,
Yeah, that's fine.
pardon me.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Christner, yes. Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Larry,
No,
Commissioner Madore,
Yes.
Commissioner Michaels,
Yes.
Commissioner Poirier.
Yes.
Okay, and that is 6-1, so we will move that to a new position. Okay, the old business, there's one item in old business, and that is the mandate resolution put forward by Commissioner Larry. It was, we had had lengthy discussion and debate on it, and then we opened it up for public comment. Had over 2 hours, probably closer to 2.5 hours of public comment on that resolution. Then we had moved on without objection to giving each commissioner a chance to have one final comment. And at that point, it was tabled. So we'll bring it off the table at that exact point. And the commissioner that was speaking and did not get a chance to finish before it got tabled was Commissioner Michaels. So let's go to that point. Commissioner Michaels, would you like to continue your final comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first order of law is always jurisdiction. That is to say, who has command over the particular territory. As Commissioner Madore and myself mentioned at the last meeting, there is no authority of the County Commission to overturn state law in any way. And therefore, we have no jurisdiction over this matter. I do appreciate and feel badly about people who feel strongly about this and have voiced their opinions. And I wish I could do something to gain more information, have a better exchange of different ideas than we've seen over the past few months. But the venue for doing that is not the County Commission. Commissioner Ames and myself were speaking during the last meeting, and we voted against tabling at that time because we wanted to move the matter along at that time and vote against it. I assume that there are not very many votes in favor of it for this meeting. But as I said, the County Commission has no authority to pass such a resolution. If we did pass it, it would just do damage. It would be confusing to people, possibly cause illegalities, and we have no more authority to pass this resolution, binding resolution, which is in effect declaring a change in law than the school board does or the various selectmen and selectwomen do. And therefore, I will be voting against the motion. And yep, that's about it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move to
Another
suspend the rules per the bylaws, section 39. Any provision of these rules not governed by the charter or law may be suspended at any meeting of the Board of Commissioners by a vote of 5 or more commissioners. The vote on the suspension shall be taken by yeas and nays and entered upon the records. The suspension of the rules shall be only for the meeting at which said vote is taken and only for the purposes and times stated in the motion. The purpose I'm stating is to allow the public to speak, which is something that the governor and her office and the Attorney General's office has actually been preventing people from that right to speak and to peaceably assemble. And I would ask the commission to allow that time to be for all agenda items as per our bylaws, that it says that anyone can speak to any particular agenda item or non-agenda items. So it would be for the entire meeting, and it would be for any particular agenda items and non-agenda items. And it's for the purpose of allowing the public to speak. There are probably many people, doubtless, that actually are possibly opposed to my motion today that would love the opportunity to speak. And it's important that we do that. So I'm asking who's going to give me a second on this and stand with the public and let them have their free speech that the governor has denied them. Madam Chair, I amend my
We're looking
motion.
for a second to suspend the rules for this meeting. Okay, let's go forward. I'm looking for this. Is there another commissioner that would like to speak final comment before we take a vote?
Madam Chair, I move to amend my motion via the amendment I already submitted per the bylaws on Wednesday last week before noon, which was in order to be allowed. And so I have submitted that in writing, and it is available for and was available sent to all the commissioners. So I move to amend my motion to that motion. Thank you. And that would
Okay.
open up discussion if it's
And-
seconded. I do need a second.
It did come in a timely manner. So I'm looking for a second, and you're wanting that as amendment. Is that right?
That would
Commissioner?
basically, that would be amending my motion so that, or amending my original resolution and to strengthen that language and to focus on what the governor is doing and push the legal question as much as possible.
Okay, thank you. And
Thank
we're
you.
looking for a second to, you've all received a copy of Commissioner Larry's amendment, and we're looking for a second to that amendment. Are there any? Dave, could you double check for me, make sure there's no hands up that want to weigh in? Okay. All right, seeing no second, we will continue to move forward. Is there a commissioner that would like to speak to the motion? Before we
Madam
vote?
Chair,
Yes,
if there aren't other commissioners waiting to speak, I will wait for them first.
would
So-
do you want to speak or?
I do wish to speak, but if there are other commissioners wishing to speak, I do not want to.
Okay, are there other commissioners wishing to speak?
Yes, Chair.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a brief statement. I think that plenty of people who are participating today and the commissioners heard what I had to say about the resolution last time around. So I don't really have much to add, except that I do find that the resolution is would really put Androscoggin County in a poor spot. But if it's unfounded, it's not our role. And we've heard from a lot of people these past month. And so I want to thank everyone for reaching out to us and with their voice, because as they know, your civic duty doesn't stop at the ballot box. And so we need to, everyone needs to participate. So even though I understand from that some people feel their voices are being heard, I think I read through, direct communications, I read through indirect communications, and there's been hundreds and hundreds of them. So I think we've heard them. I think everyone's had a chance to weigh in. And I think that while maybe everyone doesn't agree with what the government has been doing, by and large, I think that the governor has been doing a commendable job. And so thank you.
Okay, anyone else like to speak to the motion? Thank you, Commissioner Bador.
Madam Chair, I guess my question is if the governor,
Is
given
this,
that,
are you wanting? to
Yes, this
speak
is
your
to my
final
motion.
statement? Okay.
yes, you will, are any other commissioners wishing to make a final statement? I'll wait.
No, you go ahead. You've already started. Go ahead.
So I guess my question is if the governor decides that any speech that opposes her is not allowed to be heard, and she writes an executive order, it's not a law, as Commissioner Michaels hammered that point 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, I believe it was, that it's not a law what she is pushing. She's referencing a law that is based on unconstitutional grounds. And this question of whether it is constitutional or not, the question of the non-delegation clause and separation of powers clause has never hit the Supreme Court. It has never hit the main Supreme Judicial Court. Other questions have come up and some of them have failed. I think some have succeeded. But the question I would put forth to the commission is if the governor said that you are not allowed to receive public comment because it might be damaging, they might share misinformation or mistruths or data that might contradict what I am using for my power, would we then as commissioners obey that quote unquote law? And furthermore, Madam Chair, I'm a little concerned. In your email to the Attorney General's office, you told her, please do not hesitate to use my email or phone number to reach out with further concerns. Did that office or the governor or any state agency or actor suggest coerce, or request that we try to shut down public voice or not allow people to meet in person or require it via Zoom or not even allow them to speak. Because there's only two actors here. The commission doesn't get to choose because we never had a meeting before you chose unilaterally to shut this down to the public and say only Zoom and maybe they can view. And then you said, commissioners, it is up to the commission, the board, per Charter 3.10, for us to decide the manner and place, not the chair. And we are not allowed to email each other and decide via email per our own bylaws.
No
Did
one
you
from the
receive any
government has
communication from
contacted
the
me
governor?
and asked me to do anything.
So the decision has been yours, Madam Chair.
Everyone received. Now, do you want to
So-
finish your final
Sure,
statements? or
yep.
is that done? Okay.
So in other words, they have not reached out to you via phone or any other manner to suggest this?
No, they have
Okay.
not.
So the
Do you
decision
want
is
to
yours.
finish your final statements or?
Yes.
This is not a give and take anymore. We're doing final statements. So
Yep,
finish
I'm-
your final statement, please.
So I appeal to the board by motion to allow the public to speak. This has generated a massive amount of public interest. And we have had, historically, we have never kept the public from speaking, even if they spoke out of turn or they weren't following all the proper bylaws rules. We've always historically done that. We even did that in Zoom way back in May 6, 2020, when Commissioner Michaels, who was then chair, allowed the public to speak in a public hearing. There's no reason whatsoever that even if we are not required to, we are more than welcome to suspend the rules and allow the public to speak. I appeal the ruling of the chair by motion. That takes a second and then it takes a vote.
Okay. Is that it for your final comments?
This entire meeting is legal per our bylaws and charter. And I told you that in my emails to you, my letter to you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, anyone else like to speak the final comment to the motion? Okay, I guess I'd like to, I have a few comments. I have not commented one way or the other too much throughout this whole proceeding. I don't want to address you about cloth mask versus N95. It's been clearly demonstrated to me that there are people in this county that understand the pros and cons in a vastly greater degree about this matter than I do. I don't want to discuss with you vaccines and pharmaceuticals. I know less about that subject than I do about masks. I don't really want to discuss as far as how I feel the constitutional or the governor's mandates. I'm not a constitutional lawyer and I hold no credentials to speak with authority on that issue. But I'll take you back many years ago now in a courtroom in the Androscoggin building where I took my oath as county commissioner, and it consisted of 2 paragraphs. And in the second paragraph, it's a lengthy paragraph that in the end basically states that I swear to uphold the laws of the state of Maine. I was not able to carve out of that statement laws I deemed reasonable, laws I agreed with, laws that I felt were supported by the Constitution, or laws that are only passed through the process of the legislation and not by a bureaucratic regulation, or in this case, governor mandate. But I would uphold the laws of the state of Maine. As a citizen, I have and I continue to strive to change many of these laws. But as a commissioner, I'll uphold them. Let me read, I just want to read to you the closing statement of the motion that we're considering. It says, we, the Androscoggin County Commissioners, do hereby resolve and acknowledge that all citizens, businesses, and visitors are free to wear or not wear masks and similar devices. I have to tell you, I have no legal standing to make that kind of proclamation to you. This issue, intentionally or unintentionally, I don't know, has sort of grown into where people really believe that what we pass is going to impact whether or not there's going to be mask wearing in Androscoggin County, and it's simply not true. I've read Impassioned Pleas, don't make my child who suffers with asthma wear a mask any longer. I don't have the authority to grant that kind of relief to you. And I'm sorry, you that came to us seeking a remedy for this, this issue has been deceiving. We don't have the authority to grant such a relief. There is a place, and there are people that do have that authority. Call your legislatures. They have the authority to pass laws. They can vacate laws. And at this time, they're actually working. There's 3 bills working the process right now that would reduce the governor's present power. It was powers that were given back to them a few years ago by the Republican legislature and signed into law by Governor LePage. I don't think they ever had any idea that this would be coming down the road and it would be used this way. But here in the state of Maine, our political pendulum, so to speak, swings in such a dramatic motion, I would say less than every decade, maybe every 8 years, that everyone should find this alarming, either on a philosophical plane or on a political plane. So contact your legislators, not just the ones that agree with you, contact the ones that don't agree with you. I would suggest that you just talk to them and speak to them. Don't give them prepackaged statements and the name calling and the inflammatory language. I've heard things in my emails, words such as Holocaust and slavery and tyranny. And I want to remind you that these were horrific and murderous loss of life events that have happened. Talk to them as your neighbors that were elected to represent you in the legislature. Tell them how it is affecting your life. I've had the same conversation, not as a commissioner, but as a citizen with my Senator Jeff Timberlake. They're the ones that have the authority to bring about this change you're seeking. For me, a yes vote is deceptive and dishonest. To say yes to this and tell you that I can somehow give you relief is just not an honest vote. If I think the speed limit on Center Street 35 is too slow, and so I write up a document and give you all the reasons why the speed limit of 35 is too slow, and tell you that I think you should be able to drive whatever speed you feel is safe to speed down Center Street, and then you do that, you'll get pulled over by the police. You will end up in front of a judge, and my proclamation, my motion, my resolution won't be worth the paper I wrote it on, because I don't have the authority to set the speed limit. That was given by the legislature to a governmental organization who set those speed limits. I am, as I read the emails, I'm truly sorry for the false representation, and it's brought about so much false hope, but this board has no authority to override a governor's mandate. I understand that many will not like this. I think some in my own party will be angry with me for taking this stand. I can live with that because I'm being truthful with you. I'd like to also address people in overwhelming numbers that have sent emails and called and messages, and they've been very concerned about the passage of this motion. Hundreds of communications for sure. I've tried to answer them all. If I missed you, I'm sorry. It just got lost in the volume of comments. They've all been very different, but one dominant message, and that is people are scared. They're scared for their health. They're scared for their loved ones. They're scared about the long-term effects the pandemic is going to have on their lives. To you, I also want to apologize. And I know this situation has raised the anxiety in your life. It's created a great deal of unrest. And frankly, it's created a lot of chaos in our community. And it's over a motion that really we had no authority to begin with. And lastly, in closing, I want to apologize to our employees. This has been tremendously distracting for you. For you that have worked for the county a long time, you know what the county commissioner's authority is. And this has also been a source of embarrassment for you. A few weeks ago, it was brought to my attention that we had some employees who felt our policies needed to be revised. And we worked quickly to respond to their requests. And then a couple weeks ago in a meeting, we took it to the safety committee. They, in very short time, like a week's time, turned it around and put the details in it for us. And it was all in an effort to make the employees feel more safe working through the pandemic. Unfortunately, what I've been hearing from employees, from 2 employees, is they actually feel less secure now because of what's been happening. Your issues got sidetracked, got put on a back burner while we were dealing with this motion that came before us. I promise you, we'll get back on track. I know right now we're sort of a train off the track. We will get back on track. We will address your concerns and we'll get back to doing the work of the county commissioners. I've said from the beginning that this is a difficult issue, and after all the communication, I believe that even more. I've never said this was a difficult vote, because for me, there's only one honest vote, and that's a no vote. I don't have the authority, and I'm not going to make you think that I can offer you something that is not within my power to give you. So with that, we will.
Madam Chair, Madam
vote.
Chair, Madam Chair.
Yeah,
need
I
to
already
correct
gave
a
you your
mistake. Point of
opportunity to
order.
speak.
Point of order. I need to correct a mistake.
I can't hear him. David can't hear him.
That's his side.
Oh, you're muted. One of the other commissioners, somebody else online, can you hear?
No, Isaiah, unmute your mute.
Unmute yourself.
All right,
It says the host muted me. I did not
Speak.
mute myself. The host muted me per what it said on my screen. Madam Chair, I must correct a mistake, and that is allowed per the bylaws. I've heard my motion, which it's rare to hear a motion really trashed, but it said that it was an untruth, that it was deceptive, etc. We as a commission can make a difference, and we as a commission can put forth, as in the last paragraph of my resolution in italics, it states to direct the county.
come on.
Why am I being muted? I've been muted
Dave,
twice.
Dave is not doing,
Okay,
Dave's not doing anything. It's happening on your end.
it's stating that I'm being muted twice now. And to direct the county administrator to take steps on behalf of the county by any legal means available, including submitting an important question to the Supreme Judicial Court to obtain a declaratory judgment or similar remedy declaring or holding that the delegation of lawmaking power to the governor under the Emergency Act is unconstitutional, as in violation of Section 1, Part 1st of Article 4 of the Maine Constitution, Article 3 of the Maine Constitution, and Section 4 of Article 10 of the Maine Constitution, and in violation of the separation of powers doctrine and the non-delegation doctrine, thereby invalidating the pandemic orders, which some people, including possibly yourself, Madam Chair, have called laws. Pandemic rules and other similar grants of legislative power that would otherwise enable the executive department to issue similar pandemic rules, and 2, injunctive relief that enjoins the enforcement of the pandemic orders, pandemic rules, and similar orders and rules. If you want to cross out the top 2 italicized parts of my resolution, or commissioners are willing to amend that, I will amend my submitted resolution that I submitted last Wednesday per the bylaws. I will remove those top 2 italicized items and put forth we do have the power to put forth an important question as a commission. There is legal precedent for that, and this is something that could be done. So I respectfully request you retract the statement that there's nothing we can do. We can do something and we should, as a commission, speak out. So I move to amend my motion to remove those top two italicized paragraphs at the end of my resolution and leave the last italicized paragraph. That would address an issue. It would take some of the heat out of the issue because it reduces the concern of us enforcing the ability for us to enforce a law or not. However, these laws are unconstitutional, and I would respectfully point out, Madam Chair, you do not just swear to uphold the laws, you have sworn to uphold the Constitution, which trumps all of our laws. But I make this motion to just stick with the rest of the resolution, to strike the two italicized paragraphs, the top two, and to leave the large bottom italicized paragraph on my recently submitted motion.
Okay,
Wednesday.
and so we're going to the most recent one.
The most recent one submitted on Wednesday.
This is Commissioner Poirier. Can we call the question to end debate?
That takes a 5-2 vote.
Okay. We're looking, what you are voting on right now is to call, we're not voting on the question or the amendment. We're voting on calling the question to a vote. Commissioner Ames.
Yes to the vote.
Commissioner Christner, yes to vote. Kelly, Commissioner Kelly?
Yes. Did we have a second? I don't recall a second.
On a call to vote, does that just take a 5-2 or a second?
Call to
Second
vote
it.
takes 5-2 for the bylaws.
Okay, Commissioner Larry?
No.
Madam Chair,
Commis-
point of order.
Yes,
Why not get a second on
okay,
Commissioner Poirier's motion? Also, the Commissioner Larry's offer did not have a second. You could formally allow that to die before we move on to the call question.
Provided there's not a second, correct?
Right.
well, okay, let's give that a minute then. Is there a second on his amendment?
This corrects a lot of the concerns that many people have about us not enforcing, frankly, an unconstitutional law.
And seeing no second, we'll go back to the vote in the second to call the question. And I have a yes for Commissioner Ames. Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
Chair,
sir.
yeah,
Yes.
I second Commissioner Poirier's motion. I don't think anybody seconded it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Michaels. Let me write that down. Okay, Commissioner Ames was a yes. Commissioner Christner was a yes. Commissioner Kelly was a yes. Commissioner Larry, no. Commissioner Madore,
Yes, please.
Commissioner Michaels,
Yes,
and Commissioner Poirier.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll move to the question, and what you're voting on here is a vote in the affirmative, is a vote for the first motion of the resolution that Commissioner Larry brought originally to the table. Is there any questions on that? Okay. Commissioner Ames,
No.
Commissioner Christner, no. Commissioner Kelly,
No.
Commissioner Larry,
Absolutely, yes.
Commissioner Madore,
No.
Commissioner Michaels,
no,
Commissioner Poirier.
No.
Okay, that is 1-6. Okay, let's move on to new business, the bylaw change regarding the meeting and the schedule. This is our second reading, and I need to get one piece of clarification from the administrator. Is this a vote or a read?
This is the final vote.
This is the final vote. Okay, thank you. And so what this is this was put forward by Commissioner Michaels. And he is asked, it's changing the bylaws to basically match the wording in the charter. It does not change anything. Our schedule's already been set, but it just changes the wording. So I will read it and then we will take a vote. Section 2, regular meeting. Regular meetings of the Board of Commissioners shall be conducted at least once monthly on a day and time set by the board. So Commissioner Ames,
Madam Chair, point of order. We have not offered public comment, which is per our bylaws.
Okay, yes, okay, I'd be happy
Thank
to
you.
do that.
And actually, first, I believe
Any
it's the
comments?
chair.
I guess we could take comments from commissioners or the public on this.
I think that's the order is commissioners
Commissioner-
first and then the
Okay.
public.
Well, are there anybody want to comment on that?
From the public,
Yes,
there are 3 people.
okay, go ahead.
So, let's see. So D. Dulac.
Dee Dulac?
Please tell them how to, Don Dubuck or D Dubuck? What?
Yeah, hi. Are we able to comment on what Isaiah's been putting across or not?
No.
Well, we're on to, what we're looking for comments on is changing the bylaws to match the charter on the meeting schedule.
Okay. I don't have any comment on that. I just have a comment on how sad this is that you're not allowing the public to speak tonight. So I've sent you an email this afternoon showing you studies that were done back in 2008 that the Spanish flu, the virus.
I'm
didn't
gonna-
kill the vast majority of
Yeah,
the
I'm going to
people.
have to.
Yeah, the
put that
virus-
Madam
on.
Chair, you would have never done this 2 years
However, let me-
ago. You would have
Well,
never
at the
done
end,
this
I
2
will
years
give you
ago.
a way that you can put your, I want to discuss with the commissioners and discussion items, a way that you can still get your comments on the record. And so we'll be taking that up under section 10 discussion items.
True,
Any
we
other
could have
comments
suspended the
about the
rules to allow
regular
that,
meeting?
Madam Chair.
Any other comments about regular meetings? Does someone have their hand up?
They do. It's Gail.
Gail?
Well, you have said that Don, you've answered my question. There's not going to be any comment allowed on this, and my hand was up prior to that, so it's pointless for me to try to comment. You'll just mute me.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
you and I discussed by phone the possibility of allowing the public to weigh in additional comments
Now,
after the vote. And secondly, I believe you just said that we would allow the public to speak during the discussion section, but not to speak on anything except the current motion before us at this time.
Right, and when we
I'm gonna
get to
go
the
forward with
discussion
that.
items, I would like to present something to the commissioners to let the folks that did not weigh in last meeting, give them an opportunity to weigh in, but I was going to bring that up at the discussion items.
it would have been better at the time, Madam Chair, point of order. That would have been better now, because now you're front loading it for those that are opposed. By doing that, you're selecting some that are not there now or wish to speak or left because they thought they would be shut down, which is basically what happened.
Okay, are there any commissioners then that oppose me taking that, the discussion item out of order and putting it up now?
What discussion item?
Madam Chair,
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair. Commissioner Larry just said it's unfortunate that some people didn't know they would be able to speak. Why not announce that people will be able to speak in a couple minutes and we complete the vote on the current item?
But they're not allowed to speak.
You mean?
Point of
to
order,
speak
Madam
on
Chair,
the
Larry Post does
item?
not decide. Point of order, Madam Chair, Mr. Post does not decide how this commission will be
Okay,
run,
I
the
don't-
commission.
no, we're not gonna do this. We're not gonna, we're just gonna, let's keep moving. This is sort of getting in the weeds. New business, by any other
Wait a minute.
comments from commissioners or members of the public on the bylaw change?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
did we vote to accept the bylaw change? I'm sorry, but I kind of lost our position here. I thought we went out for comments on the bylaw change. Obviously, we digressed. I'd like to get back to that bylaw change. And if we're not going to have any public comments from the public regarding that bylaw change, I think we need to call the question and have a vote on it.
Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes.
I have no objection to the public weighing in on the bylaws change, but
Oh, I
not
don't either.
another issue. I'm sure Commissioner Poirier doesn't either. If someone indeed wants to discuss the bylaws, otherwise they should hold their discussion for a few moments.
Okay, is there anyone that would like to, either commissioners or member of the public that want to weigh in on the bylaw change date?
Madam Chair.
We're looking for,
Two people from the public.
okay, do you want, is this on the bylaw change, Commissioner Larry?
Yes, normally we have commissioners go first and then the public. I want to make sure the public understands what's going on and what this is. This is more than just a bylaw change. So I'll wait until the public speaks, but we're actually taking this out of order. Normally it's commissioners first, so they could actually let the public know what's going on, and then the public speaks, and then the commissioners actually take a vote or final comments, and then we take a vote. I believe that's per our bylaws, Madam Chair.
Dave, do you have anyone else that needs to be?
Okay.
Is the gentleman named Ricky?
We have you on our screen as Ricky.
Hi. So I honestly don't understand what the bylaw change is. I mean, if it's just a simple statement like that, then I get it. But my intuition tells me Isaiah says there's something more there. I would love to keep my comment for the discussion later if we can just kind of move forward with
Okay,
that.
sure. Commissioner Larry, would you like to, or Commissioner Michaels, I'm sorry, this was your, would you like to speak to this and give a little background on this?
Sure, this is a bylaws which brings the change amendment, rather, it brings the bylaws in alignment with the charter. The charter requires that we meet once a month. The bylaws say twice a month. This would change it so that we're required to meet once a month, even though all the commissioners know that we meet more than twice a month already, especially during budget season. So this would give us some maneuverability should it be needed once or twice a year or so. And that's it. We discussed this quite a bit already.
Commissioner Larry, would you like to, you indicated you wanted to weigh in on this?
Sure, I would like the public to be able to weigh in afterwards, because I think it's important for them to hear, not because us commissioners or myself are so smart, but there's a couple things to consider. On May 6, 2020, we had a open meeting resolution. On the following week, we held an emergency meeting to try to make sure that the RV Campground Association was able to get their voice heard because the governor was squelching them. And there was complaints about emergency notice and notice requirements being met, et cetera, et cetera. And what my grave concern is, the excuse that we've heard push forth, not.
We can't hear you.
Commissioner Larry is muted for some reason. Can we handle this?
Can you hear me
Back.
now?
Okay.
This is the third time I've been muted on without me doing anything. Anyways, my concern is the root cause is so we can make sure we have the 4th of July weekend. We don't have to have that interfere with people. Why not, instead of changing this entire thing, change it for just the 4th of July weekend? If that's so critical, it's very important for us as commissioners to be available. We are, as a commissioner has said before, we are the oversight group as this commission. And if people need help, we need to be able to be there. There's no reason that we have to align the bylaws per the charter if the charter is less stringent. If the charter said 2 meetings a month, then we would need to change things around. Or if it said 3 meetings a month, then we would need to change. But it's more important for us to be available for the people, because as much as we've said the legislature's been there, they haven't. And we've actually helped serve people. I give credit to Commissioner Michaels on his resolution. We helped speak up and raise awareness, and we did it because we were there. If we're only meeting once a month, we can claim we're going to do emergency meetings, but then there's all the argument of whether notice or not. We have a job to do. We get paid $4,000 a year to serve in this capacity. We ought to be there twice a month. It's the least we can do, especially when people aren't able to have their voices heard.
Okay, any other comments on this? This is our final reading. We've had several readings of this bylaw change. Any other comments? Okay, go ahead.
One is Kiernan.
Kernan?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So on this bylaw change, I think that Commissioner Michael has laid out a pretty good rationale here for bringing your bylaws into alignment with the county charter. But, you know, given the spectacle that we've just seen over the last, hour, it's hard to blame any of you for wanting to spend less time with Commissioner Larry. So I hope that you vote for it.
Madam Chair, that's out of
Madam
order.
Chair, the gentleman is out of order.
Okay, let's.
Apparently he's
Hold on.
done.
We also have the lady Alyssa.
Alyssa,
I imagine that's me. It's Alicia Ray.
Welcome, Alicia.
oh,
I just
okay,
wanted to make
yeah,
sure
sorry,
that
yeah.
I wasn't out of order. Hi, folks. My name is Alicia Ray. I live in Lewiston. Also, your friend from the Budget Committee. I did want to speak to this item just because I do believe that aligning your charter and bylaws is always the right way forward. And then also, if folks are accidentally hitting their space bar, that might be a cause of the mute issue. Just a heads up.
Not with me.
Thanks so much.
Okay, anyone else want to, it looks like we have Bob. Can you unmute Bob's mic? Okay, Bob, go ahead.
Yes, Bob English, resident of Wales. I believe this motion is very much in order. You don't have a conflict between a charter and bylaws. You will probably approve a schedule of meetings each year, in which case you can schedule 2 a month. And then you can maybe in July not meet, maybe in December don't have a meeting in the middle of the month, maybe in April when you're busy doing your tax returns, you might not want to meet the second time. But it gives you you're going to have to meet once a month. And if you schedule ahead of time, 2 months, I serve as a director on a nonprofit. Our bylaws say that we have to meet at least 4 times a year. We meet monthly. That's our choice. So it protects us in that particular case. So I would support the change to put them in sync. I'm sorry for my phone ringing.
Thank you. And is that, I think
Sure.
that is all the hands that are raised? Okay, so let's take a roll call on this
Chair?
issue. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to add one thing. I know that everyone on the board has heard what I have to say about the issue, but since we have so many people here, and I guess I might as well reiterate that I am not in favor of the resolution, and mostly just because I feel like we don't have enough substantive discussions about the issues such as the staff or safety of our inmates or sheriff's office, or, you know, I just don't feel like we're having substantive discussions about that. Not that meeting more necessarily achieves that goal, but I just want to make sure that we continue to meet, and but I definitely can recognize that we set our schedule for 2021 and we're meeting twice a month.
Madam Chair, I move to postpone indefinitely.
Is there a second to that motion? Okay, seeing no second. Is there any other comments before we move to a roll call? Okay, Commissioner Ames.
He left, I believe.
Okay, Commissioner Christner, yes. Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Larry,
No.
Commissioner Madore,
No.
Commissioner Michael,
No.
and Commissioner Poyer.
Yes.
Okay, we do not have enough votes one way or another, so
Madam Chair?
I guess that dies then.
No,
Yes,
Madam Chair?
yes, Commissioner Michael.
Having voted on the prevailing side, I move reconsideration of the item where we voted not to pass the resolution. And I further move that this be tabled until the board takes it off the table.
I second that.
Can you please explain what you mean, Madam Chair, Commissioner Michaels? It sounds like you're saying two things. Are you speaking of the resolution or are you speaking of your bylaws amendments? Or I'm just trying to understand which.
What did we just vote on, Madam Chair?
The bylaws amendment.
Okay, we voted on the bylaws amendment, did not have 5 votes. I voted no, therefore I'm on the prevailing side. It needing 5 votes, and I've moved reconsideration of our action, which the bylaws explains how you do that. And have also moved to table it until the board takes it off the table.
Madam Chair, could I respectfully ask for a division of question? Out of all due respect to Commissioner Michaels, just because I'm a little confused whether we're talking about the resolution or the. I'm not trying to fight with you, Commissioner Michaels. I'm just trying to understand. It sounds like you're talking about two different things.
What resolution are you talking about?
You mentioned resolution, something about prevailing side.
Well, the bylaws amendment, the bylaws resolution.
Okay, okay.
I'm moving reconsideration of the bylaws amendment, thank you. It having failed to pass, and I voting on the prevailing side, I move reconsideration of the matter and further move that it be tabled until we take it off the table.
I would respectfully request we divide that question then, that would be 2 separate motions or division of motion.
That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you.
Well, actually, no, it's not fine. I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't want to vote on the matter now. I can wait till next meeting to move in consideration, but I thought as a courtesy, I'd move it now and table it. It is in order to do those motions together.
Okay, is there a second to tabling the bylaws change?
Already seconded.
I seconded that, Madam Chair.
Okay. Motion and Terry Kelly. Okay, and so the vote, if you are voting in the affirmative, it's you are voting to table this discussion. If you are voting no, you are voting not to table it to another meeting. Commissioner
Madam Chair?
Ames. Yes, sir. Is that?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Ames appears to be back at the meeting. Therefore, I withdraw my motion to table and simply make a motion to reconsider our action. Whereby we.
Commissioner Kelly, are you willing to withdraw your second?
I am.
Okay.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move reconsideration of our action whereby we failed to pass the bylaws amendment.
Commissioner Michaels, we lost you.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, could you repeat what you just said? We lost you there for a few minutes.
I move reconsideration of our action whereby we failed to pass the bylaws amendment. Needs a second?
Okay, so we're going to.
Point of order,
take a
Madam
roll
Chair.
call on whether or not.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Michaels was
Point of
on the
order, Madam Chair.
prevailing side. So a vote in the affirmative right now would be that you are voting to reconsider the motion. A vote negative or no vote would be that you are not.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
reconsider The motion.
Point of order, Madam.
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead. Commissioner Larry.
I've
Commissioner
been
Harris?
muted once again, and I do not have a space bar on my phone or on my device. I am concerned, your vote, with all due respect, Commissioner Michaels, lost. So I'm a little bit confused how it's in the prevailing side when it takes 5 votes to pass this motion per our bylaws.
Could I
So
actually place my vote? I was muted. I never left the meeting. For some reason, I was muted and couldn't get off mute.
So other people are having this too.
okay. So to make it easy, I've moved reconsideration and that'll allow Commissioner Ames to vote if you'd like him to vote.
Okay, and a second to that motion.
Has my motion to reconsider been seconded?
A motion to reconsider.
Has it been seconded?
Yes, I
I'll
seconded.
second it. I'd like
Terry
to
Kelly.
vote.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Ames.
I
This is-
vote in
this is,
favor.
Can I just interrupt you 1 second? We're not voting on the actual bylaws, we're voting on reconsidering it. So this would take a simple majority. So Commissioner Ames,
I vote yes.
okay? Commissioner Christner, yes. Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Larry,
No.
Commissioner Madore,
No.
Commissioner Michaels,
Yes.
and Commissioner Poirier.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll move to the vote to reconsider. And so now a vote yes is that you are voting in favor of the bylaw change. A vote no is you are not in favor of the bylaw change. Commissioner Ames,
Yes, and I think I've got this back on. Sorry, I'm having some real problems with Zoom.
You're good. You're good.
sorry about that. Commissioner Christner, yes. Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Larry,
No.
Commissioner Madore,
No.
Commissioner Michael,
Yes.
and Commissioner Poirier.
Yes.
Okay, and that is 5-2, and that would be enough to pass that change to the bylaws.
Madam
next-
Chair, I request the minutes reflect as per the bylaws that I'm opposed to this motion and record my name. And that this is a shame that at a time when we can't even get a hold of our representatives and have them get in session and actually have a real day in the legislature. If we had had legislatures meeting even twice a month, we would have been doing great through this nightmare. And we are the only legislative body here. Shame. Thank you.
Okay. Employee, we've got some new protocols by the request of employees. They'd asked that we tighten up and be more clear about COVID protocols in the workplace. We took this up as commissioners. We sent it to the safety committee. They put the final details on it as it in reference to workplace and how they interface with the public, and sent it back to us. So do I have a motion to consider the COVID protocols for our personnel policy?
Madam Chair, I don't believe that I received a copy of those protocols. I can't find them in my email. So I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Okay, yeah, it would have been 2 weeks ago that you got them. Okay, with the last meeting, is that right?
Yes.
I believe they came in the packets of
Yes.
last week's packet.
They were in the packet and they were the same as past couple of weeks ago.
No changes?
No, no changes.
Thank you.
It just got tabled last week. It was in our packets last week.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a
Commissioner
motion
Madore?
to, thank you, Chair. I would like to make a motion to approve the COVID protocols that have been presented.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Madore. And a second.
A second from Commissioner Poirier. I
Okay.
want to thank also the safety committee for working through this, preparing this. I know Commissioner Ames had asked them to work this through, and I want to thank them.
Absolutely.
Madam Chair, I want to make sure that the commissioners are now able to speak to this item as it was basically sent to the safety committee. We have not actually had a time as commissioners to be able to speak to and debate this item as it has been presented from the safety committee. We discussed it, I believe, on January 6th. We then had it brought to us on the 20th. But no, actually, we had to wait again. We were expecting it from the safety committee, had not received it on the 20th. And Commissioner Ames even reached out and said, when is a safety committee meeting? And we finally have received it on February 3rd. And this has not been debated. It has not been discussed by commissioners. So I just want to make sure, because I did try to discuss it last meeting and was told that we had already had our discussion. So I just want to ensure that we are, as commissioners, able to discuss this and that the public will be able to discuss this, because this does directly affect the public by requiring the public to wear masks in a county building.
We have a motion and we have a second, so comments, please, or discussion.
Madam Chair, I am concerned about this document requiring people to wear masks in county buildings. It does not make specific provisions for people that do have disabilities. As we heard from a gentleman that had cerebral palsy, or someone who spoke for a gentleman that has cerebral palsy, who does business in this county building, it is very difficult when we're putting extreme hardships on people not being able to come into this building without masks. Furthermore, we would never have been able to even have the meeting we had before had we had that policy enacted. And furthermore, we have signs up, but we have not even passed a policy as a commission, to my knowledge, requiring masks from before. So those signs were not even legitimately posted. So I'm concerned that we are going to be passing this and making people wear masks and making things difficult for employees. Many people have medical issues that are not able to wear masks. Are we prepared to make all of them work from home for the rest of their lives? We have the issues with the administration saying that these variants, now we're going to have to keep waiting and waiting because the vaccines don't prevent people from getting infected. So therefore, this vaccine we've been holding out for and saying, just give away your freedoms for all this time and it'll get better once you get the vaccine. Now that is not there anymore. And many people have grave concerns about that vaccine. And then we're being told wear 2 masks or 3. Are people who wear 2 masks more good than those who wear 1? Or are those that wear 3 better than those that wear 2? It starts to get to the point where people say, this is insanity. And there's more going on than just the mask issue. We are seeing, and this isn't conspiracy theory, I'm seeing from regular comments from regular media sources, not stuff off in the internet, as some would like to smear it as, that groups are looking at this, city leaders are looking at this as a way to fundamentally change America. And that's not from any right-wing website or left-wing, it's just out there in regular news sources. So I'm very concerned that we're going along with this, and we've had ample opportunity to fix this problem by starting the process and sending it to the Supreme Judicial Court, and we've basically ignored the needs of the people.
Is Tom Reynolds online? He was the head of our our safety committee.
I am. Thank you, Madam Chair. Did you have a question or just looking for comment?
Well, I didn't see that it addressed the public as much as it was addressing concerns of employees. You worked on this issue. Could you just?
Yes, thanks. Yeah, happy to address that. The impetus of the protocol was really driven by the staff and their feelings of insecurity, not feeling safe, and really what the protocol puts forth is just a reiteration of what this prevailing scientist and the governor's mandates, and it does, in fact, identify that people will wear masks, and I think it's important to adopt this in the spirit of supporting the safety of the staff and the general public at large.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions for the safety committee chair, or comments about the protocol?
Sure, Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes.
A question for Mr. Reynolds. Does this protocol require the public to wear masks or not?
This protocol reiterates the mandates put forth by the governor and supported by science, that people wear masks when gathering in public spaces.
So it does it or does it not require the public to wear a mask when in public areas in the county building? So it's a fairly simple question.
Right. And again, I will reiterate in saying that it supports, it reiterates the prevailing mandates put forth by the governor.
Please enter the science that you're suggesting or referencing, but this document that I've received that's in our packet says public will be required to wear a mask when in public areas in the county building. So it does require that. How are you and how are all employees going to make sure that we are serving the public and enabling those with severe disabilities, some of which we heard from at the previous meeting, folks that have been severely abused? How are we going to make accommodation for them?
I can only speak for our office and I think for the deeds office as well, or actually any office. We are happy to support anybody in the needs of what we put forth in supportive services. If they're not able to come in, we work with people to be able to file online or via mail. We're available by phone, email, and I know that's true for deeds, and I'm sure I speak for most other offices as well. Commissioner Larry, I have not had anybody contact us and expressing an inability to come into our office. And I think my understanding is that when people come through the front door, the marshals instruct people that masks are required. And I've never seen anybody balk at that. So I don't see that it is an issue.
Maine is, I believe, one of the only states that requires masks without even a medical exemption. Obviously, I'm pushing for more than that because of people's constitutional rights. And every commissioner, including the chair, did swear an oath to uphold that Constitution. I'm concerned, though, if Maine is the only one not even granting a medical exemption, what science is behind that? That's kind of concerning. And furthermore, silence is not excuse for consent. That's a phrase we've heard many times. Many people it's really unfair to say that because we have not heard from people complaining about it, if they don't get past the marshals, obviously they're not going to be able to complain to you. And frankly, many of them may not even try. A lot of elderly people, you tell them to do Zoom, what a joke. And you tell them to call in, some people don't even have that. So I'm severely concerned that we've basically broke the entire process, the legislative and hearing process, and even the glitches we've heard with Commissioner Ames and myself being muted multiple times, at least me multiple and him at least once. The challenges of this is not a workable solution for people's freedoms. And I would just dare say it's kind of concerning, because if the tables were turned, I'm sure I would hear people screaming Constitution.
And I can't debate all that you're putting forth. It's outside of the purview of my responsibility. My responsibility is to the staff of my office and to follow the rules put forth by the governor and the laws of the state of Maine. And so I respect that there are people with different feelings and beliefs and positions, but I need to follow the law. And this protocol.
This isn't a law. This is not a law. It's an executive order.
I think thank you. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate your weighing in. Does anyone else would like to weigh in on the protocols?
Chair,
Go right ahead.
Commissioner Madore here. I think why this document was created was because there was a void of protocols in the county building, and there were multiple sources who were asking us to be responsive to the pandemic, and it was included the courts, court administrator, included many staff. I think you even say potentially from the other side of the county building. And so when I read through the proposal, it seems pretty reasonable. And so I don't have any specific issues with this, what has been brought forward. And I think that we as a commission have heard a lot from one individual, and I would love to hear from any of the other commissioners about the protocol, how they feel about it. But unless the other commissioners have nothing to say, then I would really like to move this forward and bring it to a vote.
Let's hear from the public first.
Okay.
I actually have a
there's two-
question.
There's, who's talking?
It's Brian. I have a question.
All right, go ahead,
for Tom.
Brian. Go
Tom,
ahead,
what are
Commissioner
you guys gonna do for anybody that actually has a medical exemption about coming in if they have serious issues and can't wear a mask? How about we get something in there that addresses that specifically? I mean, I appreciate you guys taking the time and doing the policy. I'm willing to meet you in the middle on it, but I do think it needs to be addressed versus just a blatant overall blanket of no mask, no service.
Well, and I never said no mask, no service. I said that we will accommodate people in any way reasonably possible. When we were closed last summer, we never stopped serving people in the needs of families coming before the probate office in court. So whether we were able to have a drop box for people to drop stuff off, if we needed to mail forms to people, if people were able to download forms online or submit filings via the mail or online, and we were always available to talk to people on the phone to walk them through. I certainly support adding language to that, but this protocol is for the staff of the county. It's not for the public. And so I think that, if you want us to put something on our material that instructs the public that we're able to serve them in different ways within reason, I'm happy to consider that as well. But again,
I would, yeah.
Reiterate, this protocol is for the county staff that we have employed here.
I get that. I would like to see something addressing it, saying the steps you're willing to do to accommodate people.
I'm happy to work on that.
Thank you. That was all I had.
Thank you, Commissioner Ames. And I see we have 3 hands up. Can you?
First one is Ricky.
Ricky?
Hello. Hi, my name is Ricky. I'm over in Freeport. And thank you for letting me speak. My main question, just because I, along with a lot of other individuals, have a lot of evidence that masks are not good for your health. And I just want to know what specific research and where you're citing your safety policies from. Does that make sense? Like what is it, just from Janet Mills' executive order, or are you doing your own research for the safety of your employees to really actually make sure for yourself that you know that it is the best safety measure?
I'm following the protocols or the mandates put forth by the governor.
So I guess just my
Chair.
last.
No,
Am I-
go
Let's let
ahead,
the public
Ricky.
speak.
Ricky, we'll let you finish first, Ricky.
So my last question, or my last sort of, I guess it's sort of a, not really a question, but I urge you guys from your own consciousness to actually understand the immune system and what's going on, and not just do what you're told. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else did we have with their hand up?
Gina.
Gina?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Hi. So I'm also from Freeport, and I had a statement first, in that I think Commissioner Larry pointed out that not to operate under the assumption that if you haven't heard from people, that people are in support of all these mandates. People from my experience, don't know how to access their government. They're afraid to access their government. They're afraid to speak up. And they also suffer from a lot of social pressure. And another question, so that was my statement. And then my question, since, hold on, I'm sorry. I have a bunch of kids. I have 6 kids. So my focus is I'm really concerned about children. And when you talk about safety, I don't know how you define safety or what that actually covers. So this may be an inappropriate comment, but I did in the chat point out that there has been almost a 350% spike in truancy in in Androscoggin County. So how does that fall under safety since COVID? So why are these kids not in school? Well, Androscoggin County has only something like 81% of households have computers or internet access. And 2, are kids suffering from this mask wearing, social distancing, all these things, and just bugging out and just not going, especially when they're teens. So that's sort of a comment question, and I'm just putting it out there. I don't really expect an answer right tonight.
Thank you, Gina.
All right.
Who else did we have? We had someone else.
Travis is next one.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Kelly.
Could we restrict our comments to people from Androscoggin County? I think that would be prudent in this case. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I object.
That would be up to the commissioners. That's not something I would rule on one way or the other. I'd leave that up to the commissioners.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Madam Chair, I think we should maybe wait on that idea of restricting comments to some people from Androscoggin County and see if it gets out of hand. Obviously, we can't accept comments from 500 people around the state. But I don't mind people from other counties weighing in as long as it doesn't get too far out of hand.
Other commissioners that would like to weigh in on that?
Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. I just feel like we're opening up a bit of can of worms here, because so far I've heard people talk about things that aren't really about the protocol that that's in front of us. I'm not sure if anyone out there has had a chance to read it. It's really about our staff. And that's a priority that Androscoggin County has. And there's been a void there, and there's been requests to have a protocol. It's pretty reasonable. So I would just ask everyone who, if they're gonna have their input, please just have it relating to this, because it is about the staff. And if we personally, I think if we don't sign something, then it just kind of seems like we don't seem to, that they're not our priority. And we've had something like this on the agenda quite a few times, and we keep delaying it. Maybe we should just vote on it and change it after the fact if people have concerns, or add more to it. But I think it's time to take some action on it. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, just.
Yeah, if I may. One of the major issues is that in the courthouse, we share the public areas with state employees as well, people that work in the courts. So part of the issue isn't just our employees, it's also the employees of the state. And the fact that we share that space with them. And so that's part of their protocols. And they have requested a long time ago that we do those protocols. And so we have done, many of these things are already in effect. But part of it is because of the fact that we share the space.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Madam
Commissioner Larry.
Thank you. I'm a little concerned by the idea that we would shut down public comment from all across the state. I would call to remembrance the commissioners. We have had 3 different times in the past, not including February 3rd, where we have had people Specifically, I would call to remembrance or ask people to remember, the commissioners to remember, we have had the CMP corridor debate. People came from a number of places and spoke out very strongly against CMP corridor. I think there were some, one I think that was working for the, the lobbyist group or whatever you want to call it, in favor of it. But honestly, it's very crucial that we do allow the public to speak. I don't remember anything in our bylaws or our charter prohibiting people from outside of the state or outside of the Androscoggin County to speak. And I would also ask why now, when we never had a problem with that in the past.
Okay,
And
it does seem like the consensus among-
this is a discussion, Madam Chair, this is a discussion that is actually germane to the
Okay,
discussion.
could I, if you could let, it seems like their consensus amongst the commissioners is to go ahead and allow people from outside of the county.
Madam Chair, you didn't cut anyone else off except for me, Madam.
Okay, could we, who's up next?
Isaiah, you've cut everybody off repeatedly. I have no interest in cutting off people from other cities. If they want to talk, let them talk. Let's move forward. This
Okay,
is getting
thank you,
ridiculous.
Commissioner. All right, who else is next?
So the next one is William.
William. Sir William?
Hi, how we doing?
Good.
Good. I just wanted to take time to address you guys. I mean, is there any actual staff besides you plan on weighing in on this here tonight? I kind of would find that interesting. And also, we're talking a little bit about tyranny and how you guys do not see it. Well, tyranny starts small, and these little steps that we're taking are eventually going to lead to something, even if nobody wants to admit that. And there's other states like South Dakota that made nothing mandatory, and yet most people still wore their masks. I think that, we're stepping on along constitutional rights here. And like I said, I wasn't really planning on speaking, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say. I think it'd be nice if there is anybody here, I encourage them to talk that's actually from your staff. And I'd like to hear their opinion besides just you guys.
Okay, and with this, the final copy that we have of the COVID protocols was actually put together by the safety committee that's made up of our department head and staff. And it was in response to concerns that they brought forward. And we actually have a obligation under OSHA to make sure that they feel like they have a safe workplace. There were employees that did not feel like they felt like their safety was in jeopardy. And so that's why we were moving this forward in response to their concerns. That's actually where this all started. I'm sorry, I can't hear Ricky. Could you open his mic? Hold on just 1 second. We want to get your mic open. Okay, try now.
I didn't raise my hand, Madam Chair. I just want to say that. Give somebody else.
Okay, I'm calling by the wrong name. The gentleman that was just speaking, I think okay.
Madam Chair, can we let people know how to raise their hand again? It's been quite a while, and it'd be good to make sure that if the public
Well,
does wish to speak.
we have 7 hands up. Go to the next hand.
Gail.
Gail.
Yes, hi. Regarding the policy, is it going to be acceptable? This is for Tom Reynolds, for the public to wear a face shield rather than a cloth face mask? Because as someone with a medical exemption, I have found that I have been refused entry based on wearing a face shield, and I shouldn't have to wear anything with an exemption, but I can't even get in with a face shield. So I wonder if that has been addressed, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Gail. That's a good question.
I would not keep somebody with a face shield on from entering the office. So I don't think that's a concern for you here.
Madam Chair, it needs to be in the policy then.
Okay, someone else with their hands up? Lydia.
Hi, this is Lydia's husband. I just had a comment regarding the argument that because the buildings in the county are statewide buildings and therefore the safety of those state employees should be upheld as well. But I'd like to point out that those same buildings are funded by the taxpayers. So the safety of the citizens of Maine have a right to access those buildings, and that right to access those buildings should accommodate any health risks that they have, whether it's a psychological or a physical one. And there are no provisions that allow individuals with any health risks associated with mask wearing to enter those buildings. Also, I'd like to point out that if you allow face shields, you are in violation of multiple of this crappy science that says that cloth masks work, but face shields don't. So if you do allow face shields, you're going in direct contradiction and a violation of multiple agency recommendations that is supported by the bunk science.
Okay, thank you. Who else has their hand up?
Bob English.
Bob English.
Thank you again, Bob English from Wales. I'm 74. I've had bypass surgery. I've had prostate cancer. I go into a business or someplace and people aren't wearing a face mask, they don't get my money. Because as far as I'm concerned, somebody who is so inconsiderate as to not to wear a face mask or a proper shield, face shield, has no concern about spreading some disease to me. And believe me, there's nothing you guys have that I want to catch. So I think that there is guidance out there from the state level. I've been reading guidance from the federal CDC, Maine CDC, about especially for education, because I serve on the local school board, that masks provide a great deal of additional protection along with social distancing and good hygiene. So whether we want to believe, if all people don't want to believe the science or not, it is what it is. It is the guidance that we're getting from those people that are the experts in the field. The great majority of the experts in the field are saying that. So I think the safety guidelines are required. They should be out there. If I have to go into the county building, I didn't come to your last commissioners meeting because the prior ones have shown that people aren't wearing masks and I wasn't going to expose myself to what they have. That's my choice as much as theirs is. If they don't want to wear one, they don't want to wear one, please don't give me what you have because I don't want it. So thank you.
Thank you. Someone else. I think we've got a couple more hands up.
Raven.
Raven.
Hello. Hi. Hi. I'm just here to say that I think that there definitely need to be measures taken to help people with medical conditions who can't wear a face mask work. I don't know if that means, or people who can't wear a face mask coming into the government, the buildings. I don't know if that means like having someone like operate a Zoom meeting for 5 hours a day in terms of like having office hours so that we can accommodate people who can't wear face masks. But I would say that to the prior comments from the multiple gentlemen, I understand that not everyone may be able to cite off top of their head a study showing that masks work, but there are hundreds, and they are from different countries. They're not from the main. They're not just from the main CDC. They're not just from the national CDC. They're from Sorry, I'm getting a little bit flustered. They're from the NHS. They're from a bunch of different organizations, and I think that I understand medical exemptions need to be made. I absolutely support that 100%. I think that taking the lives and the health of employees who are working in these buildings of the utmost importance is incredibly important. And I think that it's kind of a dereliction of duty not to do so. And I would be incredibly disappointed in the commission if they did not do that. And I think that it's a sign of ignorance or arrogance or both if you come here advocating that we that we don't protect employees in the state. So yeah, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
And,
Travis?
Travis,
Good evening. Thanks for letting me speak. I just wanted to speak to some people being, saying that there's sciences out there that, masks work and how important they are for everybody's safety. And I just think that it's important to remember that everybody should have the choice to choose, what they do in life. We do live in the United States of America, and the Constitution gives us the right to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if that requires you to wear a mask to feel safe, then you should wear a mask. If you don't, then you shouldn't. And I'd also just like to share something that Dr. Fauci said in regards to the science. I hope everybody can hear it. If not, please let me know.
Travis, are you still speaking? We lost you, or were you finished?
Yeah, I'm just trying to play some audio. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not.
Yeah, no, I'm not hearing it.
Please no.
Here, look.
Okay.
It's from Dr. Fauci, the leader of the pandemic response.
Right, I understand that. We're really, I'd like to stick more to, this is an employee policy.
Yeah, I only wear it because, it directly affects the employee policy regarding the health and safety of your employees.
Yeah, we're not hearing it for one way or another. Okay, thank you. Who's next?
Has he finished, Madam Chair?
Who's next?
Has Travis finished, Madam Chair?
Marcus?
Has Travis finished, Madam Chair?
I can't hear him. I can't hear what he's playing. I can't hear him. Marcus?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
My name is Marcus. I am a resident of District 6, and I wanted to thank the staff members and department heads who have worked on this safety report. I am employed at a local funeral home, and as you can imagine, our families work with the probate office a lot. The feedback I've received over the last 10 years is that the probate office has always been very accommodating. If someone isn't able to make it in the county building, whether it's a mobility issue or they don't want to wear a mask for whatever reason, they are able to accommodate them. I wanted to remind some of the commissioners here that have seemed to have forgotten, people are dying from this, families are sick. I don't know about you, but I'm not an epidemiologist. The Center for Diseases Control and many other scientists and medical professionals say masks work. Please vote in the affirmative of this safety report. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis, and I appreciate what you said about our employees. We hear that often, that they're very accommodating on every issue. Okay, who else do we have?
Jerry.
Jerry? Jerry? Okay, someone else? Rebecca.
Yeah, I don't live in Androscoggin County, but I do a lot of business in Androscoggin County because I'm like right Winthrop, which is right next door. And in my town, I've been denied access to register my dog in my town office. My town doesn't have options to do things online. So how do you intend to help those like myself who cannot wear a mask and can't access services online in your county building because there is no option for that service in your county? Or like I said, like many have said, the elderly who don't have access to Zoom or don't know how to work the internet, may not have a computer. How are those people being served? And is one person coming in without a mask really going to put the entire building's health at risk?
Okay, thank you. You've raised some questions. Of course, we don't have all our department heads on to address them all, but you've certainly raised some questions. I don't know what every department's policy is. I know Tom's already told us about his, but thank you. Who else do we have? Were you I don't want to cut you off if you're not finished. Okay, thank you very much for joining. Who is it?
Hi, this is Don
Dee Dubuc.
Dubuc.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd just like to know how you can regulate doing masks when there's been multiple studies being done. And I'll show you one of them. Hopefully the people can see it. This was actually done by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, that the 1918 Spanish flu, the vast majority of people didn't die from the virus. The vast majority of the people died from a lung infection after the fact from wearing masks. You've got the Streptococcus bacteria that lives in your throat and in your nose. Breathing into a mask, you're breathing that bacteria into the mask and you're breathing it back down into your lungs. And wearing a mask constantly is what caused the vast majority of the people to die. The Spanish flu is the same thing as a COVID flu. Okay, and if you look at, and it's kind of funny, it was Dr. Fauci's people that actually did this study in 2018. The Army had frozen military personnel that had died, and they did the dissecting these personnel, and that's where they found out that the most people died from. You also have a thing here that, and it shows you how much we've been lied to. You have the American Journal of Medicine, one of the most prestigious medical publications in the world, not just the country, the world. For a whole year, the media has been telling you that hydrochloroquine will kill you. Do not take it. Don't listen to the former President Trump. It kill you. It's not a good thing. January 2021, last month, they come out a report stating the exact opposite. And you can read it. And I'll let you read the top of that. And you can follow it. I can't pronounce the fact, but the top says, pathological basis and rationale for early outpatient treatment of SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19. I emailed you this report earlier today, and you'll see it says a combination of antiviral therapies. And if you go to page 4, it talks about hydroxychloroquine, and then it goes on to say, when started early in a hospital course and the progressive longer durations and in outpatient anti-malarial may reduce the progression of disease, prevent hospitalization, and are associated with reduced mortality. If the elderly were given hydrocortisone early, the vast majority of these people wouldn't have even been hospitalized. It also says HQC was approved by the US Food and Drug Administration in 1955, has been used by hundreds of millions of people worldwide. Since then, it was sold over the counter in many countries, and it has a well-characterized safety profile that should not raise undue alarm. And for the past year, the media has been lying to us about it. I actually tried to have this published in the Sun Journal, these reports. If you take a look at this, this is an email from the Sun Journal.
What about the resolution, sir? Please, what about the resolution?
Madam Chair,
what about
this
the
is out of
resolution?
order.
I'm tired
Madam
of these
Chair, this
off
is out of order.
comment things. What about the resolution? Like,
Madam Chair,
what
it's
about
time
us
for
trying
you
to
to
protect our
act.
staff?
Forcing
That's what we're
people-
talking about.
Yeah,
Some drug is not doesn't have anything to do with it. Nothing to do with it.
Done a report
Sally
in
Christner, you have a
2005
job to
and
do.
2006.
You have a job to do.
Here's a report from the Sun Journal that I sent this.
Madam
Okay,
Chair,
what you're breaking up. If you want to hold off just a second and back up and let's, I'm
Madam
gonna
Chair,
ask
Madam Chair.
that, yes, go ahead, Commissioner
Madam Chair,
Michaels.
the folks who want to debate the masking rule of Commissioner Larry should wait till the designated time when we said they could speak. They need to do that in order and not debate the matter now. We're trying to resolve this thing of Registrar Reynolds. And we
Madam
can't
Chair.
get distracted on and on.
I would like to keep
Madam Chair.
comments to the employee policy. And I
Madam
would
Chair.
remind you, this was a policy that the employees themselves advocated for, and we were responding to their concerns.
Point of order,
Do we
Madam
have
Chair.
Other comment?
Point
as
of order, Madam Chair.
employee Policy.
Point of
Commissioner
order,
Michael,
Madam
or
Chair.
Commissioner Larry, we've got 5 more comments.
You allowed Commissioner Michaels to speak out of turn. I request to be able to speak as well.
Okay, I will ask
Thank you.
those 5 people then to wait a second. Go ahead.
Yes, and it's meant to allow these people to speak. First of all, Commissioner Madore should be censored for interrupting
Okay,
the
no,
public
no,
multiple times.
We're not-
That is
we're not
out of order.
censoring People, let's.
Second of
who-
all,
Who else is on
it
the
is
list
time
there?
to allow
Who
the
else is on
public
the
to
list?
speak.
Jerry? Jerry, we'll hear from you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I want to say, first of all, I want to let you guys know I appreciate you bringing this before the council. I was one of the first people in Androscoggin County to come down with COVID. My wife and I have seen this firsthand. I have seen the trouble breathing and almost losing my life from COVID. And I would ask all the councilors to vote to enforce the mask mandate and allow their workers to wear the mask as they need to.
Okay, thank you you finished, Jerry? I want to make sure we just didn't lose you. Were you finished? Jerry?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments, and certainly happy that you're well again. Who else? Jesse, and we have 3 left. We'll get to those 3 and then open it up to commissioners. Jesse?
Yes, I just wanted to bring in a reminder on this, and that is that no person, no government body, no person in position of authority or any of that has a right or legal ability to ask a person to put their health in jeopardy. And the facts show that the masks do that. I know that people are concerned about each other's lives. I know we want to protect the people working in buildings, and I get that. But we also have to consider all of the other lives that are being damaged in this process. And that cannot be forgotten. We have to remember that you cannot legally ask somebody to put their health in jeopardy. So for many people, especially those with medical issues, like myself, it's damaging. I mean, we have to, just to give you, I've had to really struggle to find workarounds. I've had situations that there were no workarounds for, and nobody could work with me. So I have to go to another state to do certain things because of these restrictions now. And, I sit here and I'm looking at people sitting in their government offices on this call, and you are telling people to wear masks and wanting these requests made, and yet you yourself are not wearing them. And, there has to be, we're the only state that is not allowing for at least medical exemptions. And this just is not, this is not only just it's not just setting a bad example, it's literally putting people's lives in jeopardy through this process. And I am not against anybody who feels like they need a mask on their face or they want to put a mask on their face. That's their choice. But we can't ask people to continue to put their own lives at risk and to do this, because every time we're doing this, we're breaking down things, and we're going to create a bigger health issue if we don't somehow start to bring a close to this. And with Maine being the only state left that's not allowing medical exemptions, we got to take a close look at that and say, how is it that only Maine is the issue? It can't be. And
Thank you
if we
for your
got to
comment.
consider that, and this cascades on not just beyond government business and the government buildings, but all of our businesses in Maine. All of our business owners are hurting because what's happening, as Isaiah Larry said, people, when they go silent, it's not that they're complying. We're taking our business elsewhere. We're going elsewhere. Our state is losing residents. Our people, I have to drive 90 miles each way, 2.5 hours in the vehicle to go handle certain things because I cannot handle them in the state of Maine. And it puts a tremendous issue on my body to do that. It takes me 2 days to recover from that drive, plus an entire day to make that drive to do that business. And I'm grateful that I'm self-employed because I have the leeway to take care of myself, but a lot of other people don't. And we need to start respecting these rights on both sides of the fence. So thank you.
Thank you for your perspective. We had 3 before. Do you remember who was next?
Pavel.
Who's?
Pavel.
Pavel?
Pavel.
Thank you. Okay, who else do we have?
Can we tell him how to unmute, Madam Chair? And can we let other people know how to raise their hand, please?
I've been asking him to unmute himself, so he has to
He-
just click on.
Can we tell him how though?
The facilitator is sending them private messages telling them how to unmute themselves. Okay, who next?
Jenny B.
Jenny B. And Pavel, if you're still on the line, stay here. We'll come back to you. You just need to unmute your microphone. Who was it? Jenny B? Jenny B?
Hello.
Hi.
I have a question for Sally. Why don't you support the medical exemption?
I never said I did or did not support the medical exemption, but this is comment section. I've never commented on that one way or the other. Okay. well, did
Okay,
you have other
awesome. I do
comments?
have another question. Noel, why don't you support medical exemptions?
Okay, did
I'm
you have any
listening.
other comment?
I was muted.
Yeah, that's okay. Did
I
you
can
have any
speak.
other comment?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move. Who's next?
I can
I
speak.
have one more question.
Okay, yes.
Let Noel
Noel,
speak.
did you want to respond to that? You certainly, you can if you want to, you don't have to.
Jenny B, I would respectfully ask you to refrain from talking about things that aren't what is specifically on the agenda at this moment. Right now, we're talking about protecting our staff. And we have had many inquiries because people are concerned who work here. And their concerns were going unanswered. And so that is why this is on the agenda. This isn't on the agenda for people to question our staff. This isn't on the agenda for you to question us. This is on the agenda so we can protect our staff. And that's what I want to focus on. So
Why don't
anyone
you
else who's
support
looking to
medical
speak,
exemptions?
Okay,
Can't hear you, Madam Chair.
Sally, you're muted.
okay. The next, who is the next person?
Joe Cook. DOK
DOK UK?
Next person should have to say.
Hello.
Why don't you support medical exemptions?
So, since I got a limited time, I want to start with the apology. I want to apologize to all the people who have difficulty with technology and they cannot get onto the Zoom meeting.
Actually, I'm going
so-
to ask you to stop. We don't really set public policy or public comments up for ridicule of our commissioners. We actually wanted to hear your perspective.
Well, this is let's go
to
is
the
about the
next
meeting
one.
because
Madam Chair, please,
No, no.
he's complied.
no,
Let him
We
speak.
don't have
He's
to
complied.
have
Let him speak.
ridicule of commissioners.
No.
Linda?
Linda?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Hi, thank you. I'm Linda Scott. I live in Lewiston. So a couple of things I wanted to point out. First off, I'm a full-time caregiver to a 52-year-old husband who is extremely ill. I also have asthma. I have to take 2 medicines a day. I have to have nebulizer treatments at times. What I'd like to point out is that First off, when this all started, I did go to my doctor. I had stress tests done with a mask on to ensure that I was able to wear a mask to help protect my husband, who I have to take care of on a regular basis. So I want to point out that there are other perspectives in respect to the mask than just the ones that are saying no mask and I don't want to do this. My other point I'd like to make is that I find it very concerning that the county commission is debating what is best for the policies and the needs of their employees. You have your employees that have said themselves that they agree with this policy. Your safety committee has looked at this and said that they agree that this policy needs to be in place. May I make a suggestion that if there is such an issue with exemptions and medical exemptions, that you make an offer to people to be allowed to call in and make an appointment for things that they may need at the county office so that they can be held and be able to do the work that they need to do without having to wear a mask, if that is actually a medical necessity outside of just what somebody wants to do because they don't believe in what the science is telling them and they are trying to push their personal agenda versus doing their job as a county commissioner. Honest to God, I have to say, my first meeting watching, I am completely embarrassed at the way that this meeting has been run. Again, I will reiterate, my name is Linda Scott. I am the former chair of the Lewiston School Board for the City of Lewiston. I am on the planning board for the City of Lewiston. I am on the board for the Downtown Lewiston Association. And I find this utterly embarrassing. And I think that there are some commissioners that should be absolutely ashamed of themselves for trying to push a personal agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Next. Okay. Are there other hands up or?
Madam Chair, there's been people that have been saying on the screen that they can't get heard or are trying to get unmuted. So I would just respectfully ask that we verbally tell people how to get unmuted so that they know how to, please. It's real easy. Thank you.
Dave, could you address that, please?
On the bottom of your screens, there should be an icon that would allow you to put your hand up. Mine is labeled reactions. Other people have commented that theirs is under participants. So based on your version, you have to look around.
Okay, commissioners, are there any other commissioners that would like to weigh in on the personnel policy?
Madam Chair, I would just ask, we've heard a lot about the safety of the staff. We've heard that basically from one person that we don't have the right to even set policy. And I certainly respect their opinion. I'm glad that they've actually had the opportunity to speak. And I would just point out that we swore an oath to uphold the Constitution and the laws of the state of Maine. And we as commissioners are the ones that have the responsibility, and yes, we can call it the authority, but the responsibility to put forth policy. That is our charter required job. So we are the ones to consider and debate that policy. So I just respectfully note that. But what I've heard an awful lot is this is all for the safety of the staff. But we are not just we're not just a company. We are a body, including ourselves, that are here to serve the public. And that is what is getting ignored. And these people have brought up science that have been silenced or argued with by commissioners, which is not orderly, is they are raising the point that these masks are not necessarily necessary and they are harming people and they're getting shut down. And this is a real shame all across the board where we have not allowed people to speak. This is not the right way to be doing this. We need to be worried about treating people constitutionally and let them live their lives in safety, or if they choose to risk their lives to do so. It is not just about the safety of the staff. I care about the safety of the staff. I raised concerns about the safety of the inmates at the beginning of this issue back in May or April, asking about upping the ventilation air exchanges in the jail to make sure that we could keep the air as clean as possible, albeit the staff already does a good job of that, but thinking that that would possibly help. So I'm really concerned that we're focusing all on, it's as if the staff can put forth a document and then we just have a duty to pass it no matter what. We are required also by Governor Mills, not law, but executive orders, I believe, to make sure that we make reasonable accommodation. This policy does not make reasonable accommodation in there. So therefore, if we pass this policy as written, I think we will have some problems and potentially some lawsuits. So we need to make sure we put those in effect. We don't pass this and then fix it later. That's why we have public hearings with a legislature that hasn't been doing their job right now. That's why we have hearings, so that people can say, hey, this is a problem. What are you going to do about this issue? And we're not addressing that. We keep just focusing on the safety of the staff. We also need to make sure we're serving the public, which is our job as a commissioner.
Okay, any other commissioners would like to comment on the personnel policy?
Yeah, I'll talk quick, Sally.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not going to vote for it until I see something in writing pertaining to how they're going to address people that can't come in because of the mask. If that means I got to vote no, I'll vote no. I prefer to just abstain until I see something in writing on there. No disrespect to Tom, but I don't want to go on something that anyone says they'll do and then move past it. So that's where I'm at with it.
Dave, could you check into Commissioner Madore says that he is, can you assist him getting unmuted? He can't,
I'm good, thank you.
okay, let me ask you this. Commissioner Ames, just a quick question. Is the direction you would like to go to vote no, or is the direction you want to go to, I wasn't quite sure. Are you wanting to wait till some of those issues are addressed?
I would like to wait until it's in writing about what they're going to do.
Okay. Are you wanting to make that a motion or just put that out there for discussion?
I don't want to make a motion because I still want to let people talk if they want to talk.
Okay, very good. Commissioners that would like to comment on the personnel policy?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir. Commissioner Michaels?
I'd like to pose a question to the chair, to Commissioner Ames. Would you be happy if we voted on today's personnel policy with a promise from the safety committee or the commission itself to address the issue of handicapped and other people being given access to the building at the next meeting or whenever?
I would prefer to wait till I see it in writing before I actually vote on it.
Madam Chair? Madam
Yes,
Chair?
Commissioner Kelly.
I would agree with that. I believe that it should be presented to us as a package, all encompassing, ready to go for us to approve or disapprove or change as we see fit, not in a piecemeal format.
Okay. There seems to be a consensus growing. Is there anyone that wants to make a motion then to send this back to the safety committee or
Yeah, I'll make the motion to send it back to the safety committee to address the issues for people with medical exemptions that are not able to wear a mask and how they're going to assist them.
okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, and this will be a roll call vote. Commissioner Ames,
Yes.
pardon me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Commissioner Christner, yes. Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Larry,
Yes.
Commissioner Madore,
No.
okay, Commissioner Michael,
Yes.
and Commissioner Poirier.
Yes.
Okay, so it's 6-1. All right. I would like to have a discussion and we're moving on to discussion items. I'd like to have a discussion item about the future of the format for the meetings of how we're going to go forward with this. Obviously, we have some items that it would be much easier if we could have face-to-face meeting as we're looking at renovations or, we need to talk about the downstairs here of this building. There's different issues. It would be easier to have a face-to-face meeting, but I want this to be the decision of the commissioners. So is there a commissioner that would like to weigh in on this?
Madam Chair, what is the intent of the commission to accommodate the public going forward in these meetings? Is it the intent of the commission? Because it is up to the board. No one else has the authority, the governor, the chair included, to decide the time and place of these meetings or the manner. What is the intent of the commission for us to meet? I move that we meet in person with the public in attendance with no restrictions. That is the proper place of us as a commission. And if we do not, we are basically shutting down the entire branch of government of the local legislative body.
Okay, and someone else like to weigh in?
Madam Chair,
Point out, whoops.
Madam Chair. Point of
Commissioner
order.
Poirier,
Was,
then
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Poirier, then Commissioner Michaels.
Point of order, Madam Chair, was Commissioner Larry's statement of motion.
I make a motion that we meet in person and allow the public to be there in person as well. We decided it was okay earlier on. I make a motion that we meet in person, allow the public and the commissioners and staff to be in person as well.
All right, yes, a second to that motion? Okay, now second, let's, I'd like input from commissioners of how they would like to proceed forward.
I think Commissioner Poirier had the floor.
Commissioner Michael?
Yep.
Commissioner-
He's
Commissioner
right. Poirier was waiting.
Oh, that's right, yes, we were, Commissioner Poirier, I'm sorry, you were going to comment and we cut you off.
Not a problem. One of the things that's been talked about a lot tonight is that people don't have access if they can't go to the county building. And I'd like to point out that perhaps, if anything, by having a Zoom meeting, tonight we had a couple of people from Freeport who presented something. We were able to hear from them. One I'm assuming a young lady, mentioned she had young children with her in the background. We heard them. That person wouldn't have been able to attend our meeting in person. So while we may talk about the fact that they can't come to the meeting physically, attending the meeting via Zoom or allowing people to comment via Zoom is not necessarily a bad process. We've also allowed people to dial in, to listen into the meeting, which we never did before. So, we're talking about the fact that we've taken away public being present in the room, but we've added some other ways for them to be in contact with us. So I just throw that out. I think we have to address the fact that the commissioners themselves need to wear masks. We are in violation, in my opinion, and I understand that that is just that. I am not trying to tell you that I am a scientist or that I hold a medical degree. But on the other hand, as far as I know, none of the other commissioners do either. And so we need to follow the mandates put out by the governor at this time. I would really like to see the county commissioners talk about helping in the vaccines. One of the things that I think everyone will agree on is that everybody is tired of COVID-19. We've been told many times by our former president that it was all going to come to an end. It hasn't come to an end. And now we're hoping that the vaccine will address that issue. I'm not going to try to get into a debate about the vaccine with you, but I am going to say that if we move forward, if there's something the county commissioners can do, I know we have our emergency management group. I know we don't have medical staff on hand, but on the other hand, perhaps we can do volunteering work to help set up the vaccine distribution and move forward in that direction. I think it would be a much better idea than us arguing about this the way we have been all night. So going back to the idea of the meetings, I think we can go on with Zoom meetings at this time and just take it from month to month. I don't think we're not carving this into stone. We're just voting, or at least I would like to see us vote, just set up for the next 2 meetings, or, just pick a short-term decision. This is not about making a decision about 12 months, but just making a decision for a couple of months or a couple of meetings, excuse me.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Michael, I believe you were next.
Sure. What would be the objection to having the meetings be in person if people are masked? I don't see any downside of that. If the commissioners are willing to be masked. It's very difficult to talk about things and toss around ideas and strategize and go over the budget matters and different things when we're not in person. It's the only question I put out overall rhetorically to the group.
Thank you.
I agree with John. Personally, I'd like to get the meetings back in person. I think anyone has watched this, has seen this Zoom has been a fiasco. I guess I'll word it that way. Yeah, I think we should be in person. We can set up Zoom. People want to call in if they want to come in. Mainly, the only reason I'm going to say if you want to come into the meetings, you need to wear a mask is because I think we've got a lot of eyes on us. And if we allow it to continue with no mask, we're going to be fined. And what people don't understand is it's $1,000 per person. And then that comes out of the county. We're not fined individually. So then your tax dollars are going to fines. And that I'm not willing to take on. So that's where I stand with it.
Thank you, Commissioner Ames. Another commissioner?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would agree with Commissioner Ames' assessment, and we were put on notice by the Attorney General. We don't have a choice. We have to follow the mandate, and we all have to follow protocol, and that's all there is to it. Oh, that's my feeling on that.
Thank you.
Chair,
Commissioner Bador?
thank you. I'm in favor of meeting virtually. I think that we've had a couple virtual meetings, and while some may feel like this may have not gone as smooth, it actually has gone a bit smoother than our last one. So practice makes perfect, and there's definitely some ways we can enhance this. And while I would rather meet in person, at this current moment, it seems like we should be meeting virtually, especially because so far we have, as a commission, we have not been in compliance with the rules. And as it was pointed out, the Attorney General and others are watching us. And so I'm not sure that we're capable of following it, given what I've seen. So I think that we can meet. I think we can be productive. I think that it can allow for more people to participate in our meetings. Just being able to call in is huge. It allows so many more people to call in or to participate, more than we've ever allowed by having an in-person meeting. So I think it's great, and I think we should continue. And I'm glad that you took the leadership and made this a virtual meeting today.
Any other commissioners would like to weigh in on this?
Madam Chair,
Yes. Commissioner
I
Michael?
have no objection. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no objection to the commission and the staff meeting in person, and any public that wants to come masked. And then additional people can beam in via Zoom if they like as well. That would be the best of all worlds in my estimation. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Commissioner Larry?
So I'm trying to understand, are we discussing whether we're going to allow the public to participate via Zoom and be able to be heard on all particular agenda items? Because this is a pretty broad subject, future commissioner meeting format.
So we're just getting input from the commissioners of how they want to go forward with the format from here.
And
I
could
think
I
that is yes. If we're in person, then we would still have Zoom set up, so any person would be able to call in and talk about anything on the agenda.
anything on the agenda.
Madam
Anything.
Chair, Madam Chair. Madam Chair,
Commissioner Michael?
anything on the agenda that the public is normally addressing at a meeting, whether in person or in Zoom. There'd be no
Okay.
difference
Yeah.
the way we
So,
treat the public in person or
I
in
would like to
Zoom.
make sure we're actually allowing the public to speak to this item because this actually directly affects them. And while I will point out that the agenda purports to say commissioners only for discussion items, this is actually not on the agenda for a vote. Furthermore, there is no such thing as discussion items on the bylaws. I'm looking at our agendas, section 7. It talks about board member comments. And then it also says procedure, no person shall be permitted to address the Board of Commissioners on an agenda item during the Board of Commissioners deliberations. That I would interpret as to be during our discussion of, the idea of a policy, but we, by rights, this is something that affects more than the commission. It affects more than just the staff. It also affects the general public. And I want to make sure they have their voice on their opinions of whether we require them to use Zoom to be able to access the commission, or whether they have to wear masks, etc., or be able to meet in person. All of the decisions that were made before were not allowed per our bylaws.
Other
Will we
comments
be
from the
making sure
commissioners?
the public can speak today on
Madam
this
Chair.
issue?
Commissioner
Madam Chair.
Michael?
Thank you,
Commissioner
Madam
Michael?
Chair. I consider this discussion to be an advisory to the chair who will make the decision. Thank you.
Point of order, that is not allowed per our bylaws. We are the ones that decide the manner and place. As a board, we have to take a vote per our charter. And I would point out the fact that guidance that we're reaching out to from MMA also turns us back to some of our own rules for about whether the public participates or not. So this does actually apply, even using the document you provided, Madam Chair. And I'll be happy to quote the exact section on that.
Okay, I agree with Commissioner Larry on this. This is a decision by the board. The decision was made this time out of necessity. I have no desire to make the decision in the future. I'm agreeable with either way. My main concern is that we keep the county out of legal peril. And so any decision that keeps the county out of legal peril, I'm absolutely agreeable to.
Point of order, Madam Chair, if we violate people's First Amendment rights,
Okay.
we will be
Can
putting
we,
the
can we
county in
talk
legal
about
peril.
where to have the meeting?
This is actually applicable.
My main concern is that we keep the county out of legal peril. Like I said, what the board wants to do, I guess I need to somehow get a consensus. I'm sort of hearing that you would like to have both. Have the Zoom available for those that do not, cannot come to the meeting or do not want to wear a mask, and have in-person meetings for those that can or will abide by that. Is that the consensus? I mean, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
That's a yes for me.
Pardon me?
Yes for me.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Is there a motion, Madam Chair?
Well,
Is
I'm
there a
just trying to
motion?
get a consensus of what's going on, what everybody wants to do. And then if somebody wants to put it in the form of a motion, that's fine. But I want the board all to get a chance to weigh in on how they'd like to go forward.
Is this like a straw poll that you complained about before, Madam Chair?
Is there anyone else that would like to address this issue?
I agree with Commissioner Ames.
I'm not asking for I'd just like perspective from each of the commissioners, please. Mr. Poirier, were you wanting to speak?
I agree with Commissioner Ames that we can have in personal meetings. People need to wear face masks. If they cannot wear a face mask or do not want to wear a face mask, whatever the reason is, we allow them to connect to the meeting via Zoom. I believe that's what what you're saying at this point, correct? For people who don't wear masks, they would be able to participate via Zoom. Is that what Ames, is that what you said?
That's what I was saying. And just solely on the purpose that I can't see us spending taxpayers' dollars on fines. That seems ridiculous to me.
Commissioner Ames, if that's the case, why don't we spend taxpayer money to stop this nightmare?
Another-
Isaiah, if you and
I'd
I
like
want to
some
have a personal
commissioners to
conversation
weigh
about
in
this,
on
we can,
where
but I'm done with this tonight. Let's stay on task.
It is
Uh,
on task.
Other commissioners that would like to weigh in?
Yeah, to some, thank you, Chair, but to some extent, I'm okay with having an in-person meeting. And it makes sense to say that any person or commissioner who is not in compliance with the rules, that they aren't allowed to participate. But my worry is that someone isn't going to participate, and I worry who's going to stop them from putting us into trouble. Because as the last meeting and many of the meetings before showed, I'm not sure anything can compel some of us to follow the rules. So
Executive
that's my
orders.
worry.
Okay, not Commissioner? Is there another commissioner that'd like to weigh in on this issue?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Michael.
I'll make a motion that the next meeting be held in person with masks, and the public is invited with masks, and anyone that does not want to wear a mask or for any other reason may participate via Zoom.
I second that motion.
Will you amend that for face shields? That's
Not
the
for the next
least we
meeting.
can do. I'm sorry?
I'm
Will
going
you
to
amend-
discuss that at the next meeting.
Will you amend that for face shields? That I
Not
would
at this
state,
time.
not at this time. So what reasonable accommodation are you
Okay,
making?
so we have a
people?
motion and we have a second.
Now we could open this up to the public, which are the ones that are going to be directly affected.
Well,
This is not just
actually,
staff.
this is something that is decided by the board. And
Yes,
so,
but it's
and
for our
it is
bylaws, Madam Chair,
allowing
the
the
public
public,
may speak.
I believe the public, the way it was read, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Michael, is as long as people were willing to wear a mask, they could come to the meeting or they could not.
Madam Chair, you are in direct
I'm
violation of
asking
the bylaws.
Commissioner
Do not-
Michaels, I'm
I am
asking
speaking,
Commissioner
Madam
Michael,
Chair.
please.
Point of order.
I'm asking Commissioner Michael. I want to make sure I understand his motion.
The motion is to meet in person with the public invited to meet in person.
Okay, thank you.
Everyone in the meeting room is masked. And we have a Zoom operation at the same time where people who cannot come to the meeting or do not want to wear masks can participate as commissioners or the public via Zoom.
Okay, all right, thank you. And we had a second to that?
Madam Chair, point of order. Now would be an excellent time to allow the public to speak. This is something that directly affects them. And they do have a right to speak per our bylaws, which, Madam Chair, I respectfully submit, you are required to obey as well. And I can show you exactly. I've
Okay,
never
I
seen
have
anyone
never-
look at the bylaws
I
when it
want
raised
to
the
leave it
issue.
open to commissioners and get all their input, Commissioner Larry.
Will the
And
public be allowed
There
to
are
speak?
4 hands up. We will acknowledge those 4 hands. I want
you.
to get, this is a board decision. I want to make sure all the board members have a chance to speak to it. We will acknowledge those 4 hands as soon as all the board members, as if this is a board decision, has had a chance to speak to it. Are there any board
you.
members that would like to speak to the motion, which is it's a little different than maybe what you had commented before. So I want to give you a chance to comment on this motion.
Can it be repeated, Madam Chair?
And please, any
What
board
is the
members that would
motion?
like to comment to this motion?
What is the motion, Madam Chair?
Chair, may I? I was curious, Commissioner Michael, how you're proposing to, or if you are proposing any sort of enforcement of your proposal.
I'm not in this motion. I'm proposing how we run the meetings, and the chair and the administrator can enforce the meeting rules in whatever way they see fit.
That would be the chair's role, respectfully, Mr. Commissioner.
Okay,
Michaels. That would be the chair's role.
I didn't recognize you, Commissioner Larry. We're trying to give other people a chance to weigh in on this issue, please.
Will I have a chance to
I
weigh
would
in as
like to
well,
give
Madam
other
Chair?
people a chance to weigh in. This is it's a board ruling, and it is for discussion for commissioners only, there are 4 people who have been very patient with their hands up. I am going to recognize those 4 people. Because
Madam
they
Chair, I
may
have
not
not had an
realize.
opportunity to
I'm
speak
not,
to that
I
motion.
did not recognize you, Commissioner Larry, and I would
Madam Chair.
appreciate it if you stopped butting in. So those 4 people
I'm
may have
not.
not
I have
realized
not
that
had the
this is a
opportunity to speak.
commissioner-only discussion item. But
That's
so I would
irrelevant.
like to recognize you and let you weigh in. So could you give me the name of the first one, please?
William?
William? Is there a William that would like to weigh in?
Yeah, am I unmuted?
Yes, I can hear you.
You're good.
All right.
You're
all
good.
right. Now, we're weighing in on being able to come in person with a mask. Is that what this is on
Yeah.
this one?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, well, I think that's, you know, that's a good, obviously, I'm not happy about the mask, but I really hope you guys do choose to do this. I think that, you know, a lot of us would like to come in. The only thing is, I'd like to know where the thing with the mask eventually is gonna stop. I know you had mentioned OSHA early, and I brought up something about OSHA and vaccines. Will you guys be requiring vaccines if OSHA makes it a safety requirement for being able to come to these meetings?
Yeah, that's, I wouldn't even know where to start with that. That would, okay. And are you finished with your comment? I don't even
Yeah.
know where to start.
No, I just want to say that, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Nicole,
Can we unmute Nicole?
You gotta give her a second.
yeah, just one. Nicole? We'll come back. Let me write her name down. We'll come back at the end and see if, who next?
How about Rebecca?
Rebecca.
So you're saying we can go to the meeting in person with masks, but you're not allowing face shields, but yet you also said we have access to the county building with face shields.
You unmuted.
Yeah, you can. Sorry.
I'm confused. You're saying we have access to the county building with a face shield because it's acceptable, but not for the commissioners meeting? You're kind of doing a double standard there.
Madam Chair, may I?
Commissioner
may I weigh
Michael,
in
did
that
you want to weigh
quickly?
in?
Yeah, because if the registrar said that he was allowing face shields, then I don't have a problem with face shields. Face shields on masks. If we have to change that later, we can change it for political reasons, let's say.
Because
I'm
Commissioner
happy-
Larry asked if you would amend it for face shields and you said no.
Quite frankly, Rebecca, I'd forgotten that registrar Tom said that he would accept shields. So for this next meeting, I would amend my motion to accept shields. And if we find we have to dismiss them for the meeting after that, then we can.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kelly, are you okay with that amendment? I think it was your second.
I am fine with that amendment. I think face shields are perfectly acceptable.
Okay, thank you. And I think we have 2 more that had the,
Jessica?
Jessica.
Hi, sorry. I was there last time, and I just wanted to chip in and say that, yeah, having the shield as an option would be very helpful for people who can't wear masks and want to attend in person like myself.
Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that, your comment. And we'll go back to Nicole. Let's see if she's on the line or ready to weigh in.
I just requested, give me a second.
Okay.
Medora, I've got a question for you. I was wondering if you support medical exemptions.
Right now, we're talking about whether we're gonna have a virtual meeting or not. And so the motion on the floor is that to require all the commissioners and the public to wear a face covering. I would add that we should also require social distancing in the crowd, but thank you for your input.
Okay, and I was also wondering if you would allow people in that have medical exemptions. Disabled people.
Well, one of the things I'd like
anybody.
that don't have. Yeah, one of the things I'd like to say too is that it seemed clear to me last time that there were, with high probability, individuals who came to our meeting with firearms. And if we have a meeting next time, there's going to be metal detectors, and I just want everyone to be aware of that.
How is that?
Okay.
What does that have to do with
let's
that
go
question?
ahead,
Madam Chair,
Let's take
Makes no sense.
I'd like to take
stay
a
on
vote
Can you
on
stay on
if
topic, please?
Commissioner Michaels.
Please stay on topic.
Madam
like
Come on,
to
answer my
take a-
there are
question.
yes, I know,
others
I'd like to
waiting
pull
to
this back, I'd
speak.
like to pull this
Mador,
back in.
Mador,
I would like, I
answer the
want,
question.
mute everybody but me.
Not right.
I'd like to take a vote amongst the commissioners, how you want to proceed with the meetings. Commissioner Michael has suggested that we have both in-person and virtual meetings for those that want to attend in person or those that are more comfortable for attending virtually. That would include commissioners, employees, and members of the public. However, if you are going to attend, in order for the county to stay out of legal peril, we have got to insist that you have a face covering on or a shield. Is that stated correctly, Commissioner Michael? You can, you weren't unmuted. Okay, that's a thumbs up. Thank you. I'll take that. Okay. All right, and this will require a
Madam Chair,
roll call.
has the public comment be finished? Has the public comment been finished? I see 5 hands still up.
Right, but at the beginning, we had hands up. Because they did not understand that on our agenda, that this is a commissioners only discussion
And I
item.
spoke out.
And
I showed you in
I
the
went ahead
bylaws
and
that
let
they are
them
allowed to
talk
speak.
since they didn't understand that. So we'll take a
This
roll
isn't a
call.
matter of
Commissioner
allowing them to
Ames.
talk.
Commissioner
Point of order,
Ames.
Madam Chair. Point of order,
Yes.
Madam Chair. You are violating.
Okay,
the
thank you.
bylaws.
That's a yes. Commissioner Chris.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner
you are
Kelly.
violating the bylaws. You may not mute people. That's the rules.
I
That's the
was
law.
muted just now. I mean, it happens. No one's trying to mute people.
It's
Commissioner
kind of funny.
Kelly. Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Larry?
No, and I request the minutes to reflect that the bylaws have been violated.
Okay, you can
because
put that on at the end,
I
like
am
usual.
allowed, that is per the
Commissioner
bylaws,
Madore?
Madam Chair. Madam Chair,
Commissioner
you are
Madore?
not following your own bylaws. Shame on you, madam.
Commissioner Madore?
You are violating your
My
bylaws.
vote is no.
No, okay. Commissioner Michael? Commissioner Michael?
They got muted.
Yeah, you're,
He's got to unmute
good.
himself.
Okay, it's a thumbs up. 2 thumbs up, okay. Commissioner Poirier?
Yes.
Okay. And that is 5-2. And
Madam Chair,
Commissioner
you do
Larry,
not
I
have the
would,
right
I
to
would let you, I
refuse-
would invite you to put your comments you'd like on the record.
I have spoken that. I respectfully submit that the bylaws have been violated by not allowing the public to speak. Just because an agenda item says it's discussion items for commissioners only, the bylaws, and I showed you, Madam Chair, I spoke to you about this. These allow the public to speak to all particular agenda items. Just because it says on the agenda commissioners only is irrelevant if the bylaws say so, and we are bound by those rules, Madam Chair. And I request the minutes to reflect that on my no vote, which is what the bylaws also permit. And I do not have to write them out because that's not what it requires in the bylaws. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner, if I may, under section 18, it talks about the fact that the item shall be open for germane public input at the discretion of the chair. So the chair is not violating the bylaws.
Right, next
Mr. Post,
item
I
is
would
the
state
basement
that a person is
renovation,
not
and
required
at
to
this
speak
point, I'm
during-
going to turn this
Point
over
of order,
to
Madam Chair.
Commissioner
It's not a
Ames.
point of order, Madam Chair.
As this was, is Sheriff Sampson on the line? At our last meeting, Sheriff Sampson brought up an issue about some,
I am here.
he had talked about some issues downstairs. Commissioner Ames contacted me the next day, wanted to discuss it further. So it says basement renovation, but I think his direction will probably go more toward air quality downstairs. Dave, our maintenance manager, I want you to be sure your mic's open so you can weigh in on this too. Commissioner Ames, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hey, yep, I can hear you, Sheriff. So the last meeting, there was a lot going on, so you mentioned it briefly. I was just looking to get more of a breakdown for everyone on the situation in the basement and your thoughts on it not being essentially worth the money to put the renovation in, and what do you see as a path forward? Also, quick question for whoever did it, was an air quality test done yet?
I believe Dave had emailed us today when the air quality test is scheduled for. I don't remember when it was. It was with the holiday and the snow day yesterday and some of the tragic events. That was kind of Dave's handling it. Dave was aware, and I know he scheduled something. I'm just not sure where it was.
No, if it's scheduled, that's great. Perfect.
As
You
far
can go
as
ahead and take it away from there.
2 weeks ago when we spoke, I just warned you about my perception of the tour after going through with the reporter and the photographer and some of their reactions. I think the article reflected that. As I stated that night, you have at least a 30-year history of a facility that's, I even question whether it was supposed to be cut up that way, but there's been constant issues of movement and things like that. We've moved offices several times through the years, kind of running away from the mold down there. And then it gets cleaned up, repurposed, but it comes back. As far as it goes, after looking at the proposal and not really having all the answers and speaking to the architect briefly, I'm just concerned it's a basement. I think you'll have these reoccurring problems. I look at the money looking to invest. I understand the bond project overall has a lot of important things that need to be done, and it may include some of the things in the basement. But when you look at the size of the organization and we're kind of at capacity right now, it really just repurposes that. And I'm not convinced, neither is my staff when we look at the proposal. When you're looking at investing $1.5 million into a basement, we're not sure that'll rectify the problems. And if the money's being used to justify for our purposes, I can tell you we've outgrown it. Sorry, it's the last minute thing. When it was originally proposed to us, I met with the architect and she asked, what are you looking for out of the renovation? To be honest, the jail was over capacity at that time. I figured we were going to need a new facility and the rest would follow. Looking at it being a government building, it's the people's building. It shouldn't be left in disarray. So I support that too. But at the same time, there's a conflict where it's the basement. But to spend $1.5 million for our purposes on that portion on something that I'm not sure will actually cure it, I think it would gut it and repurpose it. I don't think that's the wisest investment for us, because as soon as it would be completed, we would have the growth and capacity issues. I'm concerned with where we would go. I don't know if there's been any conversations about where we would relocate on a temporary basis, and moving us temporarily with all the network connectivity we have and some of the issues, whether it's our records management system, radio communications, our body cameras and towers there. It's not a small undertaking. So originally my thought was, if the benefit, give them a vanilla plan for the basement, it can be repurposed for other uses later on. But at this point, it's not my decision. It's the commissioner's decision. It's Larry's decision. If you're looking to make an investment that's worthwhile for us, I would just say spend it elsewhere. That's my quick take. As I had discussed with you over the phone when you called about some of the concerns you had the next day, I think it's at a time where I'll probably go to the commissioners looking to form a committee to not only look at capacity issues here with the patrol division and overall, but explore the whole agency to include the jail. Obviously, we need the commissioner's support, because if the commissioners aren't going to support looking at it and addressing the issue, there's no sense wasting people's time on a committee. And the committee would have 3 commissioners involved, because I think any more than that would constitute meetings every time the committee would meet. But that'll be my recommendation in the future. I'm giving you a quick snapshot to answer the questions you had.
Nope, I'm good with that. I like the idea of the committee for a path forward. That was really all I had. I just want to make sure we got something more detailed and addressed for everybody, since it was I don't want to say it was brushed aside at the last meeting, but that's kind of how it felt.
No, I thank you for the opportunity to readdress the issue prior to the article.
Thanks. I didn't have any other questions.
Thank you, Sheriff. As always, we're very grateful for you.
Thanks. I appreciate it. And thank Dave for setting up the mold, whatever he's doing there. I saw the email. It's just had to go on the back burner for now. So I appreciate him addressing it or looking into it.
Okay, anyone else with a question or that they have for either Dave, our buildings manager, or the sheriff?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Commissioner Larry.
So what are you now requesting, Sheriff? What are your thoughts? What's the best route to go forward? Are you looking?
I would support, the county administrator posts and the commissioners and Dave's. There's a need with some of those things in the bond, but the basement as part of the bond, I almost say out of the 1.4 million that's budgeted, I'm sure there's things in there that are going to be done regardless. Do that, but I'd almost say put the rest aside to maybe address housing opportunities or feasibility studies that involve more than just people that can point out the problems, to address that moving forward for the sheriff's office. But I think also, there is 4 divisions. Pre-pandemic, we were having all kinds of issues with the facility. So you might as well look at it all. I think the priority that's changed since the pandemic is the immediate need for the law enforcement side. If you remember, you've been a commissioner for 5 years now, I'm guessing.
Or 4, but yeah.
4, okay. Well, we had a 3-year run where we were over capacity and boarding inmates at other facilities. Once the pandemic, and that boarding was extending every year. It started out with just a month, then it went to 3 months, then it went to 5 months, and that's very costly to do. And it's been, touched on and discussed with commissioners. And there's been a number of different, because some can't finish their terms. And there was always seemed to be the same interest. Well, so from an administrator's perspective, we had just figured, we had started looking at what does it take to tackle that problem? What was the processes used in the past? We've got a facility that was underbuilt at the time, but they did what they could do to get it to pass. And it's in the downtown, so it doesn't really allow for much. So what I'm recommending moving forward is you move forward with the bond proposal, because I know, Administrator Post has worked very hard with Dave in addressing a lot of things that need to be addressed. I can't agree with, for our purposes, spending $1.4 million in the basement renovation. I'm sure there's things that were included in that'll need to be done. And I don't know what your intended use for, but quite frankly, we've outgrown it. It's not practical. So I'm going to be coming to the commissioners in hopes of just getting the support to form a committee to look at, when that has become the priority now. We can't just stay down there. The jail is getting by right now, and I think the pandemic numbers have, lowered our headcount. But there's other problems we're having in the facility with capacity issues, because we don't have classrooms, we don't have the medical facilities that we need. There's problems once, I'm sure this video court thing is going to take hold. Well, that's going to conflict with our visit rooms. So the jail is going to have issues that are going to need to be looked at too. But out of an immediate need, we'll have to be looking at the public safety side of the building, because like I said, I don't know if they were ever meant to be down there, but it's just not appropriate. And I think it's time that we paid significant attention to it. I'm not asking you for anything tonight. This was a discussion item brought up because somebody was concerned with the lack of information at the last meeting, but I understood you had other issues going on. You good?
Okay, any other commissioners have a question for the sheriff or for the building manager?
I have a question on just discussion items, Madam Chair.
Okay, let's move on to discussion.
If the commission is done, I don't want to. So I would just respectfully point out on our Article 7, A person is not required to speak during the public comment section of the agenda if the person wishes to speak to a particular agenda item, but may wait to be recognized to speak at the appropriate time. So in response to Mr. Post's comment, people commenting on non-germane items, like we're talking about masks and COVID, and they want to talk about taxes in the other state, that's not germane, but this is actually something that people had a full, complete right to do. And people can legally actually make the commission follow our own bylaws. So that's something we need to be very careful of. And just because it's written under discussion items, commissioners only on the agenda never trumps our bylaws. Thank you, Madam Chair. And that's on
Okay,
page 3 of 14 of our
I would,
bylaws.
couple of things in closing. I would like to get a consensus or from the commissioners, make sure no one is opposed to it, or the majority is not opposed to it. I would like to leave this discussion open for written comments. We have already received a few written comments from a town, one from a school board. For the next 7 days, if people would like to email us, we will make their emails part of the written record. I hope that's okay with everyone.
Madam Chair, I object because that's actually sort of voting and then asking people to tell us what they want afterwards. How does that serve the public's interest and give them the right to be heard ahead of time?
Okay, let's go ahead and take a poll on it then, since there are some objections.
Is there a motion on the
Commissioner
floor, Madam
Ames?
Chair?
Commissioner Ames?
Is there a motion on the floor, Madam Chair? Point of order.
Is there someone that would like to make a motion? I thought we could just enter these into the record, but let's take a motion on it. Anyone like to make a motion saying that we will leave this open? What I'm asking is to leave the discussion open for people that would like to weigh in, or for the emails that we've already received that have asked to be part of the record on this discussion.
Chair,
Yes,
I'd like to
Commissioner
second
Madore?
your motion.
okay. I don't usually make motions, but I guess I will this time. And Noel Madore, second. Okay. Commissioner Ames?
Can you repeat the motion, please? Sorry, my
Yes, I'd
daughter
like
is
to, what I
going
would
nuts
like to
trying go to
do
bed.
is, we've had several emails, one from a town that actually called a meeting last night to send a letter today. And they want their letter to go on the record. I'd like to leave it open to people that would like to have a comment that they want put on the record about the issue that we debated last week or last meeting, and leave it open for 1 week for anyone that would like to make a comment and have it put on the record. I think I said
Okay,
that
yeah.
backwards,
I'll
but,
vote in favor. Yeah,
Okay.
yes, vote for that.
okay, Commissioner Christner is yes. Commissioner Kelly?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Commissioner Larry?
Madam Chair, why don't we let the people that have their hand raised speak now? That'd be a great idea.
I'll get to them in a minute. Commissioner Larry, do you
You
have
will.
a vote?
I question how we can be soliciting public comment outside of the meeting, but I'm certainly welcoming public comment at any time.
Okay.
I abstain for lack of written documentation and information on where we can go.
Actually, once you've debated it, you can't abstain it. You can only
Actually, there's
abstain.
nothing in the bylaws. I do
Okay,
not have
let's
enough
just, all right, you
information.
want to abstain. I'm gonna allow it. You can't abstain if you've debated an issue.
Please show me in the
Commissioner
bylaws where
Madore?
that is, Madam
Commissioner
Chair.
Madore?
Please.
Commissioner Madore?
I will vote in the affirmative.
Thank you. Commissioner Michael
Yes.
and Commissioner Poirier.
Yes.
Okay, so we have 6 yes and 1 abstain. Couple of, okay, we have a hand raised. I'm gonna go ahead and recognize that hand. DOK UK.
All right, so hopefully you won't cut me off after 10 seconds of speaking this time around. Because last time, as soon as I start speaking, you cut me off because you didn't like the message. So again, I want to talk about the disabled people. Oh, Madora, can you stop doing that? That's very disrespectful. Thank you very much. Anyways, I want to talk about all the disabled people who left behind or going to be left behind, won't be able to attend the next meeting and this meeting as well on the Zoom call. Can you actually turn up? Because if they respond back, I want to hear what they say. I know a lot of elderly people will not be able to, wasn't able to attend this meeting because they don't know, they can't figure out technology. It's a little bit too difficult for them. So you left them behind. And last time we were at the meeting, you told all of us that you want to hear our voices. And then the very first thing you did is you cut us off and you will not let us talk anymore. So that's, that's not cool. It's unconstitutional. And as a US citizen, I'm absolutely appalled by that. This is, we should not be leaving, first of all, disabled and elderly people behind. And second of all, you should, keep your word. Like you said, our voice is always going to be heard. But that's not the case today. You keep on muting people down. A couple of people got banned that I know of. That's here with me in the room. They got banned for simply holding a sign. They haven't even had a chance to speak. They had a sign behind them. They got banned from participating in this, and that's not right. This is unconstitutional. So the other thing, you guys, keep on talking about that there's a signs behind mask, and I will guess next, if you guys allow us again inside the building, participate in this discussion, then I will bring a printout and the signs behind that does not support masks. They don't work. The ones that you wear, they simply do not work, and they are peer-reviewed signs right off the CDC website. I will bring to you, and yes, Humidor, you can look it up, you can check it out. It's there. It's been there for a while. And that's all I want to say for now before you meet me again. And I hope you all have a good day.
Thank you for your input. Okay, to the commissioners, one thing I would like to remind you of is in your packet last week is your FOA training. And if you could get that to Sandy, that would be great. If you need another copy of it, I'm sure she can provide you with that. Future
Madam
agenda
Chair, there's two
items.
other people with hands raised.
Future agenda items?
Madam Chair, there's two people with hands raised.
Chair, I have a future
Well,
agenda item.
There's nothing on the floor to discuss, but go ahead, Commissioner Madore.
Thank you. Last meeting, I brought up something that I think we ought to do. And I hope that people got a chance to think about that. What I had said was that I think that we should, as a commission, ask the administration to make the COVID vaccine available for our inmates as a priority in the order of the rollout. I think there's a lot of compelling reasons as why we should. It's a congregate care setting or congregate setting. There's a lot of people who have medical conditions there, and there's a financial reason that is extremely compelling. One hospitalization could cost us, tens of thousands of dollars. We have to tie up our staff to monitor them at the hospital. And so, one of our most biggest responsibilities is taking care of the health and safety of our inmates. So I think that we should ask the administration to make a priority inmates in our facility to get the vaccination. So I'd like that on the agenda, and I can write something as to that effect.
Future agenda. Any other future agenda items?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would like to make sure that we are ensuring that no employee, inmate, or anyone else is required, inmate or the public is required to have a vaccination as a condition for entry, use, or in the case of an inmate, many of which are 70% pre-trial, be required to get a vaccination, which Governor Mills at this point could literally, with another stroke of a pen, since we have failed to challenge her authority constitutionally, she could with a stroke of a pen require.
Okay.
Yeah, if I
And
could,
but I don't want to, is this a future agenda item, Commissioner
Yes,
Madore?
Madam Chair.
I don't, we're not debating this now. We're just taking future agenda items.
It's a future agenda item.
No,
Madam Chair.
I was, somebody else was starting to chime in. I was just.
Oh, I thought you were
We're
asking
not
me.
ready to debate that yet.
No, but I
Yeah,
would like to add it as an agenda item, Madam Chair.
my
Commissioner
agenda
Madore?
item is to make it available.
Okay, to make it, okay.
Yeah, to make it available. Because, we can't require inmates to take vaccinations or the staff. We can't even force them to eat food. So to say that we're going to force them to take vaccines is a kind of
Any
ludicrous,
other,
but-
okay. Any other future agenda items?
We don't have a lot to say about that. The state sets the guidelines as to who is eligible and who isn't. And we'll certainly look into that.
Other agenda items? Okay, a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, other people are trying to raise their hand, and
I
Commissioner
move to
Michael had
adjourn.
indicated letting the public speak.
Seconded.
Who, sorry, who, I didn't,
Madam
Someone
Chair,
was
there were still
talking
two
over
hands
you.
raised. There are
we're-
still two
we
hands
we
raised.
have nothing on the floor that we're discussing except to adjourn, so I'm,
We moved
Sally, I
on
moved to
very
adjourn.
quickly.
okay. Who are the two people with their hands up? And then we've got a motion to adjourn.
We're William and Richard.
Okay, William and Richard. William, please.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. I just wanted to make a few points. Since, of course, this is on a bunch of different issues, but, Janet Mills has put these mask mandates on us, and everybody here is failing to recognize that a year ago, the idea of any of us being mandated to wear a mask was unheard of. So to think that she won't come out and mandate vaccines is naive at best and ignorant at worst, I guess. That being said, a lot of other states are already lifting the mask mandates. So why are we still pushing this? Why isn't it not a choice? Why is any of this not a choice? If your mask works, why should I have to wear a mask? If your vaccine works, why should I have to take a vaccine? And, that's just like, I really wish you guys would consider that. And, on the CDC's own website, they state that masks are inconclusive. They state that hand washing is inconclusive. They state that many of these things that we're using and going by, Janet Mills is going by, is inconclusive at best. So we are destroying our families, we're destroying our economy, we're destroying our kids' health, we're making them practice in mass and run around. I wish people would stop and think about that, how it feels to run for an hour or two in a mask, and it's this new normal that's being pushed is not normal. We need to be able to see smiles, we need to be able to worry about our own health. It's my body, my choice. We've had to listen year after year about how women get to choose what happens with their body. Now, all of a sudden, we don't get to choose anymore. Now,
Yeah.
I understand people would like to say that that's not the same thing, but it seems like pretty well the same thing to me. I have a lot of people that compare this to the seatbelt law. Oh, you have to wear your seatbelt. Well, actually, I do wear my seatbelt. Why? Because I believe it works. Why? Because it's a choice I make. Do I think it should be a law? Absolutely not. It should be your own free choice to wear a seatbelt. It should be your free choice to wear a mask. And that's just what I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. That was William, right? Okay, thank you, William. Richard, and then we will go back to the motion to adjourn.
Yeah, well, I'd like to say that I agree with everything William just said. And I know well over 3,000 anti-maskers in Maine. Not one of us has been sick or died from COVID. It appears to be only people wearing masks, holding a virus inside of their body, where we all know the lungs are an excretory organ, meaning they excrete something. Why would you want to hold something in your body that your body is trying to get rid of? Really, think about that.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for your input.
Madam Chair, Carly Estes indicated she's had her hand raised all night. It's been taken down multiple times. And so I'm
We
just
don't know,
concerned-
who are you talking about?
Carly Estes, I've seen it on the message boards, and
And-
she's had her
and-
hand raised all night. So this is why
Yeah,
this
there's-
whole Zoom thing was a
There's
very,
no, we do not have a Carly on our system.
I guess I do see Carly now, and
Do you see her?
it's a gentleman who has a cross, but his hand is not raised, so it doesn't seem like they want to speak.
Okay.
they've had it raised all night from what I saw. on the
Carly,
thing. I just
if
wanna make
there's
sure
a
they can
Carly
speak.
on here, for some reason, your hand is not raised on the facilitator screen, but go ahead. You might be muted though, because if we don't see, yeah, you're gonna need to raise your hand for him to unmute you.
And that's at the bottom of the screen. How do they find that?
We'll wait just a second.
Can Mr. Cody explain how to get to it again, please? Sorry, Mr. Cody, but I just want to serve the public.
So again, every system is a little bit different. So look at the bottom of the screen, you can look for either reactions or participants. And there should be a spot in there that allows you to raise your hands. See, I don't have Lydia.
Carly, could your screen name be showing up as Lydia? Try it now, Carly.
Maybe their mic doesn't work. Oh,
That's
there
why
you
we
go.
never should have moved
I
to
can
Zoom.
see you. I just can't hear you.
You're unmuted. Yeah.
Can we move on, please? Lydia seems to have her hand raised. Let Lydia talk, since she's clearly been waiting.
Okay, we're gonna let Lydia talk, then Carly will come back. There's a little mute icon in the lower right corner. But let's go to Lydia and then we'll come back to Carly and see if we can.
Yeah,
get her
I
on.
had a question regarding the firearm comment from Mador. I would like to know the rationale behind that and why he brought it up.
Yeah, I think, do you have a comment that you'd like to make?
Can you turn this down, Davey? Sorry.
Okay, Carly? I have to unmute. Okay. Carly? Oh, I'm sorry. I wish we could hear you.
Oh, they probably had it locked. I guarantee you.
No, I can hear you.
Hello,
everyone. Go.
Go.
I've been trying to unmute all night. For me to speak at this point would be way off topic, and I do apologize. But we've been trying to get. We have video of hand on this account and not called up all night long. So I appreciate your time, and maybe we can look into that for future Zoom meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Carly?
Say something.
Go ask about the.
Talk about the.
Oh, shoot.
Well, Chair, I
Okay,
think maybe that concludes public comment, and we could, unless there's something else, we could call a vote to adjourn.
Madam Chair, can we clarify that the firearms are prohibited
No,
per
I
per
don't want
state
to
law?
talk. No,
Just-
we have.
That would be a
call
good
to
thing to let
adjourn.
the public know.
Carly, if we weren't able to connect with you, feel free to send in an email. We'll make sure it gets on the record. I'm sorry. I wish we knew how to help you here.
We just heard from Carly,
Yeah, like that.
Oh, okay.
You're in charge of yourself.
and that's the real Carly.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Good. Okay, you were being talked over, so I don't know who made the motion to adjourn. I need to write that down. Who made the motion to adjourn?
I did, Sally.
Okay, thank you.
I
Brian.
seconded.
Commissioner Ames.
Seconded
Commissioner
by Kelly.
And all those in favor, or I guess I need to take a roll call. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. Commissioner Ames,
Yes.
Commissioner Christner, yes. Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Larry,
No.
Commissioner Madore,
Yes.
Commissioner Michael,
Yes.
Commissioner Poirier,
Yes.
And that is 6-1. Have a wonderful evening, the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, folks.